I'll call a study session to order. Alejandro.
Okay, agenda item A, study session roll call. Councilmembers Dupont,
Here.
Deanda. Here. Harris,
Present.
Smith, Zhang,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Boyle. Here. And Mayor Serrato.
Present.
Agenda item B, study session. B1, study session to review the 2025-26 City Council goals and priorities.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Alejandro. Turn it over to our city manager, Scott McBride.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. We're going to go ahead and get this provided for you. So rather than do a specific presentation, we just wanted to share the actual document, the draft document, I should say, with you for consideration tonight. I know for many of you, you've done this several times, and even the newer members who've been very familiar with the city's operations and seen this in process, you're familiar with what we're doing here. So just to go back a little way in history here, we had a really good session on a Saturday. We had a lot of really good feedback from all of you here at the dais, city departments, department heads, community members who came to the meeting. Each year you get together after that and you try to put together what you're hearing and what you're sensing in the community, a set of goals and priorities that we then in turn use to help focus budget expenditures on and actions we're going to take over the next year, kind of our implementation plan and also our budget. And so we're in the middle of all that. And as you're aware, on May 19th will be our first attempt to look at the budget. We have 2 more meetings in June, which will be at least one's a public hearing, be asked to consider it, and then final adoption, right? So this is all just timely in the process of it. And so tonight, what we want to do is go ahead and provide this draft for you guys to review and consider. You've got some time if you need. We can rework it. We can bring it back at a later time as well. We can take aspects of it to any subcommittees if you'd like to as well. But what you see here on the cover sheet is basically this is what you've had stated for some time on the city website as kind of how the council works. And then for this year, we added below it the subcommittees. We never really had a definition or area of emphasis for the subcommittees, so we know that the subcommittees are a very active part, as actually is a goal that you had in prior years was to keep using those. And so we wanted to kind of focus on what they are, and then we'd like over the period of the upcoming year to bring items forward from your goals and priorities through those subcommittees for feedback, some input, and in some cases talking about some options that you might want to consider at the entire council level. So this is your cover page, and I apologize, the background isn't completely coming through here, but it's a nice picture of the tower in the back there. Okay, so we tried to organize these during the days, you might recall, into certain larger policy areas, and so one of them that we had set up was governance, and so these were things that came about through the meeting that we felt fell underneath that category of governance. And so I know there's a lot of conversation about having a longer term vision for certain things the city should be working on. A big part of the conversation that came up during the mid-year update for your budget, as well as during the meeting that we had, was talking about financial stability plan. We've been working for the last several months on the budget, and there's been a lot of conversation internally about things we're gonna have to consider. We wanna get that into a very good document, a very good articulate presentation for you to consider going forward. That's not tonight, but that's going to be coming for your consideration. So these, again, I don't need to read these as council members Harris remind me, I can read, so I'm not going to read all these. These are kind of what we have on the sheet, but it's here for your discussion and consideration. But these are all the things that we thought made sense into that category. And then below it, we thought that some of these are going to probably need to go through these different subcommittees for some additional input, some guidance, some discussion. I did want to make a little note here too on public documents and archive. This is actually something we've been working on already. We're very close to it. I know Jeff's here tonight. I think he's behind the door, but there's essentially like 1 or 2 steps we need where we can have access to these. Am I correct? Yeah. Okay, I'm correct. So we might have a goal knocked off in the very near future. So it's something that we've been working on for a while. It's still on the list, which makes a lot of sense to us, but it's something that's very close in progress. I would just add too that although we have this governance area, a lot of this is really about how you interact with one another and how you intend to conduct business amongst yourselves that don't necessarily involve the council. Like ethical leadership is not really anything that we can tell you to be or how to be. It's something you have to take upon yourself. Accountability is amongst yourself, but also holding the staff accountable to your goals, your priorities. That's part of the process as well. Okay, quality of life is probably one of the bigger areas that came about during our discussion. This one has a lot of different areas that we thought made sense to put together. We walked away that day with tons of yellow sticky tabs on big, giant sheets of paper. We were able to put those together in a way that made sense. Jennifer and I have been through them half dozen times to reorganize things. Sometimes things that came up under a different category we thought made more sense to go here, so we made some changes, but you can see your quality of life really kind of addresses some of the things that involved in your development services and planning area, parks and community services, even public works, so to speak, or engineering. This is really a blended area with lots of different items that don't have a specific department home, but they have a function to try to get accomplished in the community. I'll give you an example like lights and street improvements. This was on public safety and quality of life in lots of different areas. I don't know if it makes sense in one or another. We just want to make sure it's included somewhere so it's representative of what we want to try to accomplish. Same with the crosswalks and pedestrian safety, multiple different areas. We thought it made sense to go here, but it could easily go somewhere else. A couple big things on this one. Your general plan update, which you recently provided a contract so we can move forward with that process. And the implementation of your housing element, we thought it made sense to have them under this category. Again, here tonight to kind of demonstrate this and let you review it. Obviously, we can take feedback and answer questions too. Quality of life part 2, like I said, is a big category, so we had to continue it. What you're going to see here is a lot of specifics related to our parks. You're going to have a presentation tonight on the Parks and Rec Open Space Master Plan process. And so we tried to capture things on this slide which related to arts, youth, recreation, parks, community facilities. Now, just some of the headlines here, like arts and entertainment expansion. It's been a long goal of the city to have downtown be the arts and culture hub of the city. I know that creating an arts district is something that's been something we've discussed in many different past meetings. I think that Jennifer is willing to bring something back at one of the upcoming meetings, potentially even the May 19th meeting. A lot of the state funding is kind of dried up on those, but doesn't mean you can't form your own local arts district, and we can attract some innovative attention and start to highlight the arts that we do have represented in our community. That's been an ongoing one that stays on your list from prior years. I'll keep going. Probably of all the categories during our meeting and just from the work we did behind the scenes to get to tonight, this one had the most. This probably had the most significant amount of feedback and ideas out of any of them. And so we tried to combine some. We tried to resort some. We actually had to send some to some other areas to try to get it down to a more manageable amount. There are some interesting things that came up during this last conversation that probably weren't discussed previously. One of them was talking about living expenses. We also had another conversation at the meeting about medical. And so living expenses, I think, was trying to figure out a way to either increase wages or improve affordability. We kept it on here just because it was something that came up, but it's kind of a difficult one to really wrap our hands around how we might go about doing that, but it's something that we can certainly discuss with you. Some of these you're going to see before, like providing more grocery store access, specifically in South Merced, has been an ongoing topic that we wanted to keep on. Small business development, obviously tourism, trying to jumpstart the local economy through generating more sales tax. These are things we talk about in almost every context and every meeting, but we're trying to put them together here so they represent what you've discussed during that meeting. You see Merced collaborations also on the list here. All right, public safety, also another significant category. These are all heavy hitters, right? Each one of these is a big topic with a lot of things in each one of them. So you're gonna see, a lot of bullet points and a few things underneath it, because I think that they're all big topics. Many of these are continuations of things we're already doing, like the Real-Time Crime Center, working on homelessness coordination. We just talked about some very significant homeless coordination over the last month. School district safety is something we take very seriously. On your next agenda, you're going to have a contract award for some improvements around Stoll Elementary School. That's come up as a project through some prior community events. Engaging with more community service officers. Obviously, code enforcement's a big, high priority for the council, often kind of becoming more prevalent in discussion than even some of our traditional police services. So I tried to capture all those on the slide for you. And again, pedestrian safety, road safety could be under a different topic, but they certainly apply in public safety too. I mean, when you really think about roads, you've got the condition of the roads, you've got the what police does for controlling who operates on the roads, and you got pedestrian safety on the roads. It falls under lots of different categories, but it works together. A couple other on this one, new police and fire station planning. These are going to be big topics going forward. As we've already talked about, there's a need to start the planning process, including how we're going to finance those. That's the difficult part of all this, is just the time to get the financing in place. You don't really have the reserves or the cash flow to do it, so there's going to be some special approach to work into that. And probably one of the last ones on here, the red light camera expansion. I know that we have one red light camera that's already been installed and it's functioning for about a week. Maybe the chief, I don't know, do you want to share it now or are you going to do it later? I didn't ask you that. Yeah. You want to give him just some scale of magnitude about what it's seen so far just with one installation?
Yep, we actually activated the camera on the 21st. We wanted to make sure we didn't have any bugs, so I gave a 3 extra day grace period just to monitor it and make sure the camera's functioning right. It's a big project, but we went live on the 30-day warning period on the 24th of last month. I checked in on it the following Tuesday, and it had been active for about 4.5 days, and there had been close to 400 violations already listed into the system. Now, these are all warning violations, right? We went through and did some validations of them, and probably about 35 of the 400 were not valid. You know, it was a bad camera angle, a misread, things that would not issue a ticket at all. And so that's a lot. So I went out there a little bit today, but the cameras are functioning. We're getting close to the halfway mark of our 30-day warning period. And to be honest, my phone has been blowing up with compliments about citizens that are just ecstatic that we got that done, and they're thankful that we got that done, and they can't wait to see the results. So, you know, I was a little nervous myself, but we're getting very positive feedback. I think Jennifer's here. There she is. I think she received some positive feedback through our social media platforms. I think our citizens are very happy that we collectively got that project across the finish line together.
So again, you've got a lot of different topics here. Obviously, it doesn't mean we're going to stop doing things like ALS has been a topic that's been on your goals and priorities for many years. You're implementing that already. We're going to keep rolling it out to other stations as we have time to do so. That's not anything we're ending. It's just that it's part of continuing operations at this point. I'm sensing there might be a question or a comment coming from somebody.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, out of those, did you see 400 some odd? How many were actually blowing red lights versus the California stop on the right turn on red?
I'm kind of embarrassed to tell you, most of them are just blowing the stop sign. In fact, we observed one of them going well over 40 miles an hour, going right through the red light without even an attempt to stop. So clearly, we used data to pick our intersection. It was not a random selection. We used data collection based on primary collision factors of red light violations and what is the #1 intersection that we generated the most calls for service based on red light violation collisions, and that was 16th and R. So we let the data tell us where it goes, and the representative from the company said this, half-week test study, our little training day, she says, you guys picked the right intersection. She estimated at the onset we could be looking at close to 100 violations a week until we start getting patterns of corrective behavior change. That was her estimate based on all the red light projects she's worked with.
That's amazing. It's gonna save lives.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you.
Okay, community investment. This is also a category that it's not really specific to any one area. There's a lot of different initiatives that kind of fall under this general area. I did want to mention Greywater Pilot Program. I know I've talked with Councilmember Boyle about this. I know this has been ongoing. We received some really good, interesting concepts about how this might be done. I'd like to provide it to the utility subcommittee and get some feedback. The one issue we're running into is that the request is to reduce utility fees commensurate with the amount of water being produced, which sounds fantastic, right? If we can reduce water use, that's a great thing. The problem we're running into is that the systems can be bypassed or they can fail. And so I don't know how you provide a discount for connection fees only to have the same amount of water coming in later on. It doesn't seem like it's a real appropriate way to look at it, but it's something we can definitely talk about with the utility subcommittee. The reason being is if it's something that we do want to pursue, we'd have to create a rate model for that in our studies, so we have to kind of factor that into what we do. But that's just like one example of a policy topic that's been out there for some time. One of the other topics that came up here is charging stations expansion. Currently there's not any city stations that are available. We have just a couple small ones are for police and fire. This is going to be something that we're going to need to really plan as we start to electrify our own fleet in the future. And then the question becomes going forward, like how much involvement should we have as a city into providing public-facing chargers versus letting the private market get into that sector? And there's a lot of different providers that are out there. There's lots of different resources that are out there. But this is a real broad, almost anything can be in community investment. It's really up to you what goes here. Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to end up saying on that one. But obviously, some same topics here that overlap in other areas as well. Okay. That's what we came up with so far. Looking forward to feedback tonight. Questions, we've got all of our department heads here tonight. They can assist us. Again, where you see this going forward is really up to you. We could certainly have any subcommittees take under consideration certain areas. We can have another study session like tonight if you want to work on it some more. We can set the date for when you want to bring it back. Really, it's up to you about how we go to proceed. I would just remind the council, too, that these are really your priorities. You get a lot of community input. You get feedback from the departments. But ultimately, where we go and what we do is your policy discretion. And so this is your time to be creative. This is your time to provide the guidance and direction you want to see us go. And then we're here to try to put together programs that help to implement those and help get you moving where you want to proceed forward.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate all the hard work. Obviously, a lot went into this, and I think you guys did a great job putting all this together. Councilmember DuPont.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Scott. Couple things looking at goals and priorities, and you had mentioned there's a couple goals that some will, because of the nature of it, like new fire station, new police station, new public works facility, we're not going to be done in a year, but working towards that in multiple years, right?
Yep.
But there's some that could be achieved in the fiscal year or the 25-26 goals and priority year. So I guess what I'm looking, and it may not be in this, but maybe a mid-year update to the goals and priorities of what are the outcomes and deliverables. You talked about the gray water project. I just don't want to see goals and priorities to continue to just be on the list, just to be on the list. I'm looking for outcomes and deliverables. We set these goals and priorities for a reason. So I guess that would be the feedback of how can we ensure that we're actually attaining and achieving these goals and priorities that we set.
Sure. A couple things come to mind. First is your budget, right? I mean, the idea is connect these with your budgets. You're going to see that very soon. So that's the first way to kind of make sure we're connecting what you want to see done. This past year, as you know, we put together a very good, I think it was a good scorecard of what the prior year goals and priorities were. Very extensive information about where we were on certain items, progress we made. I think that's a good thing that we should do at mid-year. And I'm not opposed to having more quarterly check-ins as well about it. Specific to your topic on that one, though, I think one thing that is achievable in the next year is, you're right, we're not going to build this in a year. But if we have a workable solution on location and financing and the steps for implementation, that gets you a long way ahead. That starts to really pave the path for exactly how you're going to do this. Not, we know we need it. It's like, this is the plan to do it, would be a great accomplishment.
All right, anyone else? Councilor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Scott. I can tell a lot of work went into this, and I echo the mayor's praise. I guess when I first turn to my colleagues up here and just make sure I understand what it is we're doing here. I believe that at least some of the subcommittees met to tend through these, and others have not yet met. I know that I haven't had a chance to do that yet, and I'm on economic development and public safety, so I don't know where we are in the process. I kind of feel like we're continuing some of the bad habits with goals and priorities we talked about that February or March morning. This looks like a list of all the topics that were discussed, not the ones that got 4 votes or had a consensus for support. So I'm a little disappointed if the goal tonight is to sort of rehab those discussions. I think we should be moving forward. I'll just pick on the mayor because I know he can handle it. I don't know we need to keep talking about the Welcome March. And there's probably some things up there that I had championed that we can drop off too. So I guess what is it that we're hoping to accomplish tonight with this half hour left that we have to talk about this, and budget already 45 days away?
Probably less than half an hour because we got closed session as well.
And I was late, and I apologize for that.
No, that's okay. Yeah, look, I think each council works at its, I think each council needs the flexibility to kind of work the way it works best and accomplish work and partner with staff in the way that each council is best suited to do. This, at least my experience, goals and priorities it's a good general. It's a really important general guide for staff to make sure staff is on the same page as us. That's a big deal to make sure us as policymakers, as a policy board, is able to set the course and set it in a big way or on a high level. That's really important, I think, and I think this reflects that. When it comes to specific issues, those take more. Each one is. So, some are they're unique, some are important, some have support, some, maybe not as much. Other ones, there's a way to achieve them. Other ones are harder to achieve. I think everybody's supported certainly new, police and fire facilities, but especially a new police department. It's been a topic of discussion for a long time, for example. But, being a $50+ million project is just not that simple, for example. Being that the ARCH, the previous council direction, multiple councils have given direction to do that. This council hadn't given formal direction to stop that, but I know previous councils going back to probably 18, 19 have given direction to do that. So there's formal council direction. Previous councils have given direction on that. I think our past council as well. It seems like that it might not be the same interest amongst this council to do it. The specific things I think need more. If it's specifically on this list, I think a specific item needs, more, either through a subcommittee or through a council discussion, is going to need more to get it over the hump, for example. That's one way to say it. So I think, kind of, again, the general things, important. The specific things can be on there. Staff has been working on some of those, for example, but those things are also going to need, again, full council blessing to get it going in a big way.
Well, I don't want to be Eeyore again, but I mean, I think it could be helpful if we all just kind of give our impressions, but I'll go back to something I said at our goals and priorities meeting. I mean, this is a city manager form of government. It probably in future years is more helpful to have 3 goals and priorities meetings where staff presents their goals and priorities and we comment on it. And then we come down to things that maybe aren't there that should be. I remember saying at the end of our meeting, gray water recapture, downtown arts district with all capital letters, and a citywide CFD were the things that I heard council direction for in the past that weren't reflected in our staff's goals and priorities.
Councilman Wright, I know they weren't on the list, but I can tell you, just with the update I provided tonight with Graywater, that's been an ongoing conversation. This afternoon, several of us, raise your hand if you're in the meeting with the consultant. I know Frank was there, and we have people from Public Works. We're actually working on the citywide CFD, so we're actually very close to getting that implemented. We need to bring the rates to a subcommittee to look at because you're going to see rate increases well above the base now, so we want to get your feedback. So even though they weren't on the list at the meeting, doesn't mean they weren't being worked on. We take what you're saying very seriously. We're trying to get them accomplished for you.
And nothing precludes a council member from agendizing it too and getting support that way, kind of the traditional way as well. So I think for some of those specific items, that's often the best course as well. Councilmember DuPont.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I mean, I guess to your point, talking about previous councils have talked about fire and police stations and given direction. And I think that's why it's more important, especially, just bringing up CFDs right now. We tend to not communicate with each other. Sometimes we don't know what staff is fully doing, and having the ability to understand what the outcomes, what the deliverables are actually coming from the goals and priorities allows us to ensure that we are moving forward on our goals and priorities. And I would like to see the list pared down more to focus us on specific items or specific areas that we deem to be priority for the city. I think that helps not only us to focus on what we're doing up here for the 25-26 year, but it also helps staff to know what our priorities are for 25-26 without making them feel overwhelmed with this laundry list of goals and priorities that council expects staff to get done when in reality we sometimes don't. So I think it's a working to ensure that we are narrow focused on specific items and specific areas in our goals and priorities.
Understood. Isn't that, coupling this with budget, isn't that budget though? I mean, budget in a way, with what's funded being in a big way our annual work plan, obviously being the more important document because there's financing behind it. But, as we use this to kind of go into budget.
Correct, but sometimes they don't always mirror each other, and things come up in mid-years that may align with goals and priorities that we're trying to focus on, or, we may have goals and priorities that are not ripe for discussion at budget, but may come up in mid-year. So, or it may be a discussion for we need to plan for next year's budget on a goal and priority that we are looking to get done or plan for the next year. So I think yes and no, that budget provides an opportunity, but it's not the end all be all.
All right. Anybody else?
Mayor, if I could, there's a lot of examples of these out in the real world, right? And so some communities have like a top 10, like this is it, this is the top 10. But again, this is really your goals and priority setting for us to implement and achieve those. So if I'm hearing tonight you want us to pare these down, we can certainly pare these down. The methodology to get from where we were in the meeting tonight was pretty simple. We took everything that we saw that we heard was a priority and it had a lot of like stickies and interest in it. We tried to clean it up and bring it back. So that maybe isn't the most effective method to do it, but that's what we did. We did try to get to subcommittees, but it's a task, right? You got a lot of conflicting schedules and priorities. And so we wanted to not belay this any longer, get it to you tonight to consider it and kind of see what you'd like to do go forward. If you want to have someone go back to subcommittees, we can definitely do that. If you want to have another working meeting like this one, we can do that. Different ways to approach it.
Okay. Councilmember Jean. Could you guys please keep down a little bit? Apologies.
First off, thank you, Scott, for putting this together. And I agree with some of the comments made by my colleagues up here. I know, Scott, you mentioned the citywide CFD is something that's currently ongoing. I think that is still something that we should include on here if that's something we're planning on completing this upcoming year. And with that in mind, I do agree there are items that should be pared down. Again, back to the Welcome to Merced Arch. From what I have in terms of the giant sheets that we had, I don't think there was a sticky note up there. And so I think that some of these items doesn't reflect items that have sticky notes. And it kind of, I'm gonna run through some of the items with regards to the goals and priorities. For economic roundtable, I would like to see that include residents, their involvement, the grocery store. I don't think residents are talking about improving affordability through market competition. A lot of that discussion have been with regards to food desert and availability of fresh produce or food in the region. I think we need to include residents' input on business surveys. I understand what you mentioned with regards to living expenses, and it's a good intention to say that that's something we're going to be working on, but kind of back to Councilmember DuPont's point, I'm not sure what the concrete deliverable is on this. And it's difficult for us to put it on here and then not really know how we're going to measure this as we approach mid-year or the next year. We talked about UC Merced. I think Merced College will be a good inclusion on there, especially with internships. I know I brought up welcoming city resolution. And from what I recall, I had at least 2 sticky notes, and so I would like to at least have that conversation up here. Yeah, so that would be my thoughts for now.
Member Pro Tem Boyle.
Thank you. Yeah, I have some of the same comments as my colleagues as well. I think condensing this list, it's almost a little overwhelming. And some of these bullet points, I feel like it should just be a given of what our staff is already doing, like improving maintenance, lighting, and access for parks. I think we should already be doing that. And I know it was a discussion because it was brought up during our town halls, but it's almost like we need like 2 tiers or 3 tiers of a list of like, these are things that we can accomplish in a year. These are things that we should just be already doing. I think this document, though, just brought all of the ideas that we had that Saturday into one area, but there are some items on here that are very specific, and would we be able to get that done in this next year? So I think looking at this list, saying what can we for sure get done this year, what is more on a 3-year plan, and what are some other things that probably won't happen, but at least we're talking about it, and how can we implement them now?
Councilmember Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. I always envisioned this as a first step and following steps to pare it down and to prioritize individual items. I kind of look at this as a roadmap that takes us from point A to point B, but without the detailed directions. And the detailed directions are the next step to this, where we look at actual action items that we can prioritize, finance, and move forward on. So I think this is a good document to keep our focus, to know where we're going, but it has to be followed up by another detailed plan of action.
All right, anyone else? All right, probably, no public comment.
Yes, we have a request to speak form from Ashley Marie Suarez.
Okay. Good evening, Ashley.
Good evening. I also have a comment that was emailed on behalf of my colleague Alicia Rivera, but I just wanted to bring in a physical copy just in case. Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah, thank you. No, we received it.
Okay, great. So, good evening, council members, city attorney, city manager, and city staff. As you review the goals and priorities identified and discussed during the strategic planning session, I'd like to uplift community priorities identified by South Merced residents that we work alongside with. So ultimately, public engagement should be the city's top priority across all of these goals. It'll promote transparency and accountability. And so starting off, South Merced lacks a lot of resources, including grocery stores, retail, and infrastructure. Therefore, we urge you to support the needs of residents by committing to establishing a community advisory committee or a group of community stakeholders from South Merced that include residents to guide the economic development in South Merced. This advisory committee would also be able to assist in identifying areas that require investments in infrastructure to both address the missing mobility infrastructure and also to incentivize developers to building necessary grocery stores, clinics, offices, and recreational spaces for the community. Residents have made comments and submitted 2 petitions in the past urging council to stop the industrialization of South Merced. So an advisory committee would ensure that the city can meet the goal of supporting infrastructure to attract developers while also allowing the community to share their input on the types of businesses they would like to see in their neighborhoods. We strongly urge council to stop facilitating the development of industrial businesses near existing residential neighborhoods. Future business park investments should also be considered of where the city plans to approve future housing developments, and that can be done through an industrial compatibility assessment or a study. In the last few years, the city has acknowledged the need for grant writers, so we strongly encourage that under governance, the goal to expand internal expertise also includes a grant writer alongside legal counsel and engineering. And during the March 3rd City Council meeting, many tenants shared their experiences regarding the conditions of the units that they rent, some mentioning mold and the lack of an AC or a heater or furnace, while others brought up the issues of hot water being shut off during the cold winter months. And although council ultimately decided strengthening the code enforcement would be an optimal solution, we urge you to take a proactive measure to meet the goal of improving neighborhood safety and housing compliance by establishing a rental registry and rental inspection ordinance and program shaped by a community advisory committee comprised of renters and tenants, small landlords as well, to ensure that the tenant's quality of life is prioritized. On a similar note, other programs that can address the high cost of living expenses and improve accessibility of housing to your constituents include establishing a rent stabilization and rental assistance program and amending the first-time homebuyer program so that low-income households and individuals with low credit can also be eligible. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, as always, for your contribution. All right, anyone else from the public, Alejandra?
No, Mayor.
All right. Bring our city manager back up. Scott, what do you expect, what do you need from us tonight? Do you want to finalize the list, just general input on this?
Yes, Mayor, whatever you're prepared to do tonight. It sounds like what I'm hearing from a majority is you want to pare this down to some extent. If you'd like to have any sections go to subcommittees, we could try to arrange those over the next couple of weeks. But really, it's really up to you about what you proceed to go forward. These goals and priorities are not different from what we've seen in prior years. Like, they all tend to be pretty lengthy, a lot of things that are hard to kind of objectively measure. That's okay. These are your thoughts about what your priorities are. If you want us to go in and do some more updates, we can certainly do that. I would just make a point to, and then confirm with Jennifer, there's really nothing here that didn't have a lot of sticky tabs during the meeting. If there's something we missed, we can certainly add it to it, but we tried to be very conscientious about what was on here based upon the feedback that we heard at the meeting.
Okay. And again, I think the value of this is big picture, making sure our priorities, the big mentality of the council is aligned with staff when it comes to either one specific projects or specific policy items. Those need to be driven along a separate course and pushed along a second course. One, could we go back to the start?
This is the start right here.
Okay.
You want to go to governance?
Governance. So that was the end. So here, all right, anything on this that, and again, to a big point too is budget, because we could have, if, for example, we have a good budget, then a lot more things are possible. And then with a smaller budget, in a tighter budget, then, you know, a lot, and we don't, we're dealing with some unknowns at this point in regards to, you know, exactly how many resources we have available for the budget upcoming. Anything on this that anyone would like to see off? Okay, is there anything here that anyone would like added on governance?
Mayor, if I
Yes.
may. I mean, maybe not see off, but I guess reinvest in transparent, ethical leadership. What's the investment? Ensure accountability and trust in leadership. I mean, it should be not almost a given that we should be doing that, right? So I guess, again, what's the investment? What are we looking in this section?
If it's a statement or a question, I'll take the question. The question would be, this is what you decide to do through your Ethics and Governance Subcommittee. I don't really have any input on it. If you think you want to work on some of your policies and procedures, that makes sense to us, right? I know you've had recent discussion about, you know, flags and other areas, how to get something on the agenda, but that's kind of what this is intended to cover, I believe.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot on this list that is exactly that. Like, you know, this is something that maybe the subcommittee talks about or brings up policies and procedures, or it's something that we should just be doing because it's a function of city departments. So I mean, we can go line by line, item by item, but it's, I guess.
All right, are you coming out against transparent, ethical leadership?
No, I'm saying we should be doing it already. We don't need to put on a goals and priorities of making us feel good.
Okay. All right, anybody? We have transparent and open communication on the other side as well, just across from it.
Same thing. I mean,
Okay.
I think that's why we're talking about paring down this list of, it's, in my mind, a given to that. Maybe it's not a given to others on the council, but there's some of these items, you know, we look at quality of life, the third one, park, clean.
Okay, well, hang on, we got, stay.
All right, we'll go one by one for
Please.
the mayor.
No, thank you. No, it just seems like we're fussing over a lot of, like, we're just being maybe a little fussy.
Well, if multiple of us are discussing the same issue,
Yes.
we're not fussing. This is kind of our goals and priorities to discuss, right? So I think it's key to have the discussion if we're going to have the discussion.
Okay, we're having a discussion. All right, so start here. Is there any, you say reinvest in transparent, ethical leadership, not necessary.
Again, I wouldn't say not necessary. It's something that we should be doing already. So it's it's something that we don't need to put on our goals and priorities when we should be doing it already.
Okay, does anybody else feel that should be off the list? Anyone else want that off the list? Councilmember Harris.
Just as a matter of form, I don't think that we need to pare down this list as much as we need to start on a new list of priorities, of actual items that we want to see staff work on and that we want to accomplish within the 2025, 2026 timeframe with respect to other items that we know are going to be multi-year items. We don't want to ignore those just because we can't do them in 1 year. But again, this is not our detailed directions. This is just our big roadmap. And I think our next step ought to be forming the detailed directions. It says what out of governance, and governance, I don't see anything that we're going to do here that is going to be on that, oh, we have to do this and do that. Revised city utility rates, that's an action item.
Okay.
You can take that and you can bring that into the next stage. Could you go to another slide?
Could we, we need to, if we're making decisions, it's best to go one by one. So if we could just stay here for now. I mean, the question is there anything on here that Councilmember DuPont mentioned, reinvest in transparent ethical leadership? Is there anything else that, either that or anything else that you want to see off?
For me, I don't want to see anything off.
Okay.
I want to find the next step of finding what we're going to take action on.
Okay.
And prioritize it.
Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I take my colleague, Councilmember DuPont's point in that some of these values are expressed more formally in other documents, like council policies, the city charter, that kind of thing. I think for this purpose, I agree with Mr. Harris. I'm fine with these values being reflected on the slide. I'm not sure that I would necessarily make any changes to the governance slide. I think this is the easy one. And again, I don't mean to try to steer us into procedure. We've got 10 minutes in a room full of folks who want us to talk about something else. I wonder if we should either reschedule another study session where we can, roll through one by one and take votes or straw votes line by line, or if the city attorney agrees, maybe do some homework and send some rankings if the mayor and the city manager can tabulate that we talk about in a second meeting, as opposed to going through one by one here.
Yeah.
But if you want to plow ahead, I will.
Yeah, we only got a few more minutes, so how much more?
Just trying to be helpful.
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem Boyle.
I was just going to say, there's a reason why these are on here. They came up within the last year, especially those of us that have been sitting here. I wouldn't take any of these off, but I will just echo, some of these do feel like they are just a given, but clearly something the last year, there was a reason why we felt it was important to have this on the list.
All right, Councilmember Jean.
Before I make any comments, I think we should address Councilmember Smith's point first
Okay, which point was that?
on whether or not we're going to go through with this or figure another way to work through.
I think we're getting short. We only have a couple minutes left, so I think we get done as much as we can right now, and then we'll have to come back. Either potentially, we could up to you, depending on how the meeting goes. We could try to finish it up after the meeting. We'll have to adjourn to closed session anyway, or else we could postpone it to another meeting as well. But either way, I think we just get as much done as we can right now. All right, so it seems like everybody's okay with this, or at least there's support for leaving everything as is.
Okay, if we're going to go through this list, I think we need to reevaluate the 5-year strategic plan. I think something Councilmember Boyle brought up with regards to 3 years, 5 years, long-term. It makes it sound like this is the only thing we're doing for the next 5 years. So I don't know if this is the big ticket item. I would also go with the hiring in-house and development. I know prior discussion, I even also talked about graffiti abatement, and then as one of the speaker mentioned with grant writing.
Okay. Additional comments? Councilmember Harris.
We have a closed session to go into. I would suggest that we schedule another study session with the purpose of prioritization. We have homework to do. We can come back with items that we want to see. I don't think we'll get a quality product out of trying to rush through this for the next 10 minutes.
No, correct. Yeah, there's no way we can get through this right now. All right, it is now 5:52. All right, Scott, could you briefly go through the slides again? We have governance, quality of life, 2. Next. Economic development, okay, 3. Public safety, 4. Yeah, okay.
That's it.
That's it. All right, so we have 5. Okay. All right, looks like, yeah, we're getting close to 6 o'clock, so we'll have to break. We'll have to then move closed session to the end of the meeting. And then we could either pick this up after or continue at another time. All right, we're adjourned. We'll come back or we're in recess till 6 o'clock. We'll start the regularly scheduled meeting. All right, we'll start in 1 minute, ladies and gentlemen, 1 minute. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the May 5th, 2025 meeting of Merced City Council, our special Cinco de Mayo edition. We're going to begin with an invocation from Pastor Ea Luna Garza from United Methodist Church, Merced. And then after that, we have a special treat. Our Cub Scouts from PAC 96 will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Garza.
And so I invite all who are willing and desiring to reverence this moment to rise. Holy One, it is here we gather and care for community, friends, family, and neighbors, seeking to honor you, creation, and creature. It is this evening, through our time together, we seek divine wisdom and discernment to do the work, to make the decisions, to commit to advancement of our constituents, and to be about the greater good. May we proceed in respect, grace, and peace. And we ask the guarding and guiding of our hearts, minds, and spirits, words, acts, and plans. And this we pray, may it be done. Amen.
All right, gentlemen. All right, thank you as always, Pastor Ea. And thank you guys for leading us in the pledge. Alejandro.
Okay. Agenda item F, roll call. Council members DuPont,
Present.
Deanda. Mr. Deanda.
Doing roll call, are you present?
Are you here?
Mr. President. Here.
Harris,
Present.
Smith,
Present.
Zhang,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Boyle. Here. And Mayor Serrato.
Present.
Mayor would like to remind the audience that if they wish to address the city council, they must submit a green request to speak form located at the podium in the back of the chamber. Additionally, citizens can submit public comment to the city council electronically no later than 1 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Comments received before the deadline will be sent to the city council and will be part of the agenda record and will be mentioned as part of the written petitions and communications portion of the agenda and will be posted on the city's website. Material may be emailed to cityclerk@cityofmerced.org. Any correspondence received after 1 p.m. will be distributed to the city council and retained for the official record. Also, for those audience members who wish to hear the council meeting translated into Spanish or Hmong, please let our interpreters know.
Good evening. Hola, buenas tardes. Me llamo Mirna Zárate y soy intérprete en español y si ocupan mi ayuda voy a estar aquí sentada. Muchas gracias.
Nhà rồng, cụ tôi xài lục mong đồ này, giờ nên lên từ xa tàu lúc trong sĩ thả mà nó xài lục mong nó chỉ chỉ cụ đồ nó cụ xài lục mong đồ này ở trong đó.
Thanks, sir.
In accordance with Government Code 54952.3, it is hereby announced that the City Council sits either simultaneously or serially as the Public Financing and Economic Development Authority, Parking Authority, and/or successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency. City Council members receive a monthly stipend of $500 by charter for sitting as a City Council. and the mayor receives an additional $100 each month as part of the adopted budget and Resolution 2024-78. The Public Financing and Economic Development Authority, Parking Authority, and successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency received no compensation. Agenda item G, report at a closed session.
We'll have to adjourn to closed session after the meeting at the conclusion, so we'll pass that as well to the end. But currently, no report out.
Agenda item H, special presentations. H1, Parks and Community Services PROS Master Plan Update.
Thank you, Alejandro. Call upon our Director of Parks and Community Services, Chris Jensen, to give an update on our Parks and Recreation and Open Space Master Plan planning process.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, Community of Merced, Christopher Jensen, Parks and Community Services Director. Alejandro. Okay, great. I'm happy to present to you this evening the work that's been conducted for our PROS plan, or Parks, Rec, and Open Space Plan, in collaboration with Farrell Bueller from 110%. She's the consultant that was selected to lead this effort. We've had some significant movement on data collection and also community voice being collected over the last several months. And I'm going to turn it over to Farrell to present what those efforts look like so far and what we have in plan moving forward, what we have in store moving forward, excuse me. Farrell?
Thanks, Christopher. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thanks for allowing me to join virtually. I am in Colorado today, and I will be there in Merced in about 2 weeks. So wanted to give a high-level update of our efforts thus far, kind of the first quarter going into 2025. As a reminder, the Parks and Recreation Open Space Master Plan on the next slide is really intended to help create a long-term vision and a long-term future for what you all want to see in your city over the next 10-ish years. A lot of the components that we pull together help with ideas of projects, maybe staffing management, obviously resource allocation, financial sustainability. How do we put things into practice that will benefit your residents and the quality of life? As Chris mentioned, I'm with 110%, and I'll be leading this project. We're also working with a company called K2A right out of California, and they're actually largely responsible for the parks analysis and the outdoor facility analysis components. The theme of our initiative in this master plan is actually play on purpose. So you will be seeing that throughout, along with some other community engagement verbiage that we've decided on, colors, look, fun stuff like that. The first 5 months of this year, essentially, a few things we've been working on, really creating the project brand and logo, creating some uniformity, as well as starting to help ensure that community members, stakeholders, staff, elected leaders as yourself start to identify this project. We've gathered a ton of information from you already and started to create timelines in March. In April, we began doing things like visiting all of your parks. I'll share more about that in a second, looking at their current conditions, looking at walkability, trail access, things like that. We also went ahead and kicked off some of our community engagement efforts that I'll tell you about. And then May is really exciting, and it's really where I'm going to spend most of my time tonight talking about, because we would love to get your input or see you in the next couple of weeks. The information that we gather up front actually starts to help us plan what happens kind of in over the summer, June, July, August, and September. So as we're gathering this information, as we're seeing stuff, that will propel kind of the next part of the project. Specific to existing parks conditions, as I mentioned, our team has visited virtually all of your parks on foot to see what's going on. They've taken lots of pictures. We've gathered lots of GIS information and created our own kind of mapping layers, if you will, and started to look really at the level of service, whether it's acres, access, amenities, and the neighborhoods and who lives there, and maybe how they participate, what's newer development, parts of the town and the city that have been there a lot longer. What you'll start to see are lots of pictures and images as we bring this information to the community in a couple of weeks. So they can also see, if people haven't been to every park, that's okay. We will kind of be bringing that to them a little bit. one of the ways that we will map parks, we'll use some of the National Recreation and Park Association standards, if you will, and we're starting to map, if you will. You can see the gray outline is the City of Merced boundaries, and then the light green is really neighbors and people that have access to a park or a green space within about a half a mile. So that's kind of the standard, 10 to 15-minute walk. So you'll start to see that come together. The other thing that you'll start to see on the next map is a little bit more about trail accessibility and walkability, right? So the light pink or lavender, if you will, is, again, it starts to represent people in neighborhoods and people that live in Merced and how easy it for them to access a trail or those types of outdoor spaces and amenities. We will be sharing all of this with the community. You'll see these maps ongoing, and really the idea is to gather feedback from the residents in Merced. Additionally, kind of the park acreage level of service, we know where Merced is today. That's where we're starting. And we really, again, like I said, want to help plan for the future. So is that 1, 3, 5, 10 years, right? But really, we know you're doing well in 2025, and we want to make sure that we're setting the stage for how do we take care of residents in 2030, 2040, 2050, whether that's financial resource, environmental resource, staffing resource as well. Some of the data collection components that we've done, we do lots of qualitative data as well as quantitative data. Sorry about that. So we've been gathering the department budgets. We've also started to gather kind of partnership agreements that you'll see with these two images. There you go. So gathering the partnership agreements, what are those agreements? Are they MOUs? How are they working, right? And in a partnership, what's the reciprocity level? And how are we serving the residents? Again, how are you all serving the residents? And really starting to understand the financial, philosophical needs in Merced, as well as trends in Merced and long-term expectations. So we'll be doing a lot of that work in person and speaking directly to whether it's staff, yourselves, elected leaders, the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, the Youth Committee and Council, and just residents in general, or visitors that love to come to Merced. As far as our community engagement efforts, we know this is one area that you just have to do well, and you can maybe not always do it well enough. I mean, we say that, and we know these efforts must continue at the beginning of the project and throughout the entire project. And whether that's listening, as well as sharing information so people feel part of it. And there's a lot more buy-in in community. And we've already seen that be incredible here in Merced. One of the ideas that Christopher had working with the organization that's helping fund this master plan, and Kimberly Garner, was to activate community residents and actually like leaders in the community that have access to people. And so what we did is we created a group called Wisdom Holders. And so these are people and professionals that are part of other groups. So maybe part of the youth community, part of the senior community, part of the bike riding community, part of the Hmong community, if you will. And so we did a training for them so they can help lead focus groups as well. And those efforts have already begun because we know when we send in people that people already trust, we have a lot better chance of getting some really great ideas. And we hear from people that visit community centers and rec centers, and we also hear from people that aren't. And we want all of the voices, not necessarily just the loudest voices. As I mentioned, we'll be facilitating a lot of internal and external focus groups. So we gather 8 to 12 people and we ask them a series of questions so that they're comfortable speaking out. That's another way of doing community engagement. Christopher and his team led some park tours a couple of weeks ago. I think that tour was full. You'll see that picture right there. So that people feel like they know what they're talking about, and they actually see it, and they can start to do some park evaluations and assessments and be extra eyes and ears for us. And again, there'll be some community events coming up that I want to share with you. We have several ways that we want to learn from people. So face-to-face interaction, community events that we'll be at, these small focus groups. We're also having 2 surveys as part of this for people that are just more comfortable, or it's easier for them to fill out a survey. So the first survey, this one that you see on the screen, is really high level. It's about 7 questions, and we will be asking it every place and space we can through all of May. We'll probably go into June, and we're providing the survey in English and Spanish and in Hmong. And so people will just click with their QR code. They're able to answer it at their own time. And it helps inform a more in-depth survey that we'll be doing later this fall. Finally, those community engagement and pop-up sessions, as I mentioned, we want to go where people already are playing and participating in diverse ways and see who will talk to us and share ideas. And so you'll see on this schedule, May 15th through 17th, our team will be at 5 different events, 5 different places: softball, senior bingo, movie night. You see them on the screen. And the idea is we're bringing a few maps, and we're bringing our ears, and we're bringing, sticky notes and things so that we can interact with the community and really hear firsthand concerns or ideas and really learn what people need, what's going well, and where might there be some room for improvement that we want to make sure and set the standards with. These are 5 of the locations. We'll also likely try to pop up at a couple other places throughout the city, as we've been talking about really filling in the schedule and really making sure that people know this effort is happening. It will be happening for the rest of this year. We may bump into 2026. We'll just kind of see kind of the workload of staff and the community engagement sessions. So that's a really quick, high-level update for you all. We want you to be part of it. Certainly, we'd love to see you at any of these events, or even just, I'd love the opportunity. We've talked to the city manager a bit of just hearing from you of your thoughts and some of your priorities. We want to glean that information from you as well. And we'll be doing some of that with staff in different kind of SWOT analysis pieces as well. So that is all. Thank you for your time. Happy to address questions. Christopher, I know, would be happy to do them in person as well. And thank you again for giving us a few minutes to share this exciting news with you all.
All right, we appreciate your work very much. Thanks for coming and taking the time to share it with us. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Farrell. Just to reiterate kind of the layout of this logistically for the strategic plan, we wanted to do a survey to kind of canvass the universal community. So no matter where you live, whether or not you participate in services, facilities, rentals, et cetera, just what's your view of Parks, Rec, and open space in Merced? The wisdom holders were identified based on specific groups of people that we know interact with our services quite frequently, whether it's young parents going to playgrounds, seniors using the senior activity center, or vendors that utilize our rentable facilities quite frequently to provide leisure classes to the community, as well as our service provider or service recipients such as coaches, parents, and young people. The goal there is to really start honing in our focus on people that interact with our services more frequently than others and may have some insights into service delivery hiccups or great experiences that they've had, so that's part of the selective information that's gathered. And then moving forward, we'll be working with both our partners at Public Works, our own staff internally, and those key contracted providers that we work with collaboratively on a day-to-day basis to actually deliver services and do a keen indicated analysis of what we do, how we do it, and how we can be better moving forward. So really a universal, selective, and indicated approach moving forward with this assessment. I know Councilman Smith was really keen on making sure that we did a thorough job of canvassing the community. I'm happy to announce that not only we have the surveys up and running for anyone in multiple languages, English, Spanish, and Hmong, but we have 16 different focus groups that are taking place across the city in the next month, as well as the pop-ups that we'll be attending over the month of May. So happy to ask any clarifying questions, answer any clarifying questions for council.
All right. Questions for Chris? Questions, comments? On for information only, but are there any questions or comments? All right, Alejandra, anything from the public?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, Chris, thanks as always. Thanks for this. We're excited to see.
I'll ask a quick question.
Okay.
My apologies. Chris, with regards to slide number 7, and this is with the trails, are there any intentions with the Parks Master Plan to create new trails? I see that going south of, let's say here, almost Bear Creek. No, it's lower than that. But it looks a lot very bare down there.
Yeah.
Are there any intentions to create new trails, or what's the goal here?
So Right now, what we're doing is just an assessment. As we move from assessment into planning, that's when we'll start pulling together those concepts and ideas to help inform what the strategies are over the next 10 years to better meet the community need. One map that's not shown here, but has a similar kind of disparity showing up here is location of community centers. Similarly or inversely, every community center in the city of Merced is actually south of Bear Creek. So you have an inverted map compared to the trail system. So it's two different open space or recreation amenities that are dispersed differently across the city. So we'll be bringing that information to council for your consideration and asking what your priorities are moving forward with the resources we know we have, or leveraging resources we know we need to go after to meet that need.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? All right, Chris, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
On to our ceremonial items.
Agenda item I, ceremonial matters. I-1, continued City Council Volunteer of the Year Award.
Thank you, Alejandro. We have three ceremonial items tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, the first is our continued City Council Volunteer of the Award. This is the Volunteer of the Award for District 6. I'll turn it over to Councilmember Jean. And for those who missed it, at the last council meeting, the other volunteers of the other council members awarded their volunteers of the year with awards.
All right.
Mic check.
Testing. Test. Is it on?
Yes.
Oh, I don't hear an echo. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Councilmember Fui Zhang, and for tonight, I would like to honor Southeast Asian Youth Alliance. If y'all could come up here as a nominee for this year's Volunteer of the Year. Awesome. So I'd like to start off by saying that, you know, in the things I do, I try to center it around young people, right? And the work that they do. And these youth, they have done so much, right? And oftentimes people underestimate the work that young people can do, right? And they underestimate how much they put into their community. And they're usually asked to simply just set up, right? Or they're asked to clean up, pick up trash, usually to perform very simple tasks from greeting folks, serving food, managing booth. But these youth have done so much, they demonstrated so much more. And they're capable of doing so much more as well, more than grunt work, right? And I've seen them plan events, plan activities, right? I've seen them organize community, make decisions, and lead. And what they need from us as adults are encouragement, right? And they need support and they need resources. And just so that they get to realize their potential. I've seen y'all up here been active role models for your peers, right? And create spaces for everyone to genuinely be themselves. And this is the type of involvement that I think we should try to foster more in the community, right? Encouraging our young people to lead, to be part of the decision-making process, to create space for each other and hold one another accountable. And so I'm proud of each and every one of you and continue to show up, hold spaces, and lead. And with that, who would like to receive? There you go. Thank you so much. I'll pass it over to you if you want to say a few words.
Elena, can you hold? Thank you. Okay. Yes. Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Noelle Yang. I'm one of the organizers who helped to create SIA. So SIA stands for Southeast Asian Youth Alliance. And us organizers who were behind SIA are people that grew up in Merced, we live in Merced, and we work in Merced. And we saw that there was a lack of third spaces for young people that would really help them engage and challenge them to learn outside of what school can teach them. So our intention when we created SIA was to provide that kind of space in Merced for young people to lead and to learn in a healing, affirming, and inclusive environment. Our youth program is made possible because of the continued participation and support of our youth. It's been a beautiful journey to see SIA grow from a small group to a bigger program. And my message to the folks here is that we have to listen to our youth and we have to uplift their leadership. Our young people in Merced, they're so smart, so creative, and so funny. And we have to keep creating these spaces for young people to learn and to be in community with each other. Not only that, but we have to really listen to their concerns and what problems that they're facing. And if our youths are experiencing difficulties with schools or with paying for rent or finding jobs with livable wages, we have to listen to them and to find solutions to those problems. And so in order to invest in Merced, we have to invest in our youth. They have a lot of wisdom and a lot of good ideas to share. Thank you. And I'll also pass it on to one of our youth leader to also talk a bit.
Hello, friends and family. I hope you are all well. A bird will have a hard time flying without its feathers than a bird with feathers. And I feel like this applies to younger me. My English teacher once made our class write a letter to our future selves, and last Friday I opened it. It contained many unrealistic expectations. Even if I may not reach them, I believe that if my younger self can live in the community that I'm part of, they'd be surprised at the thought that we can actually exceed what the future seemed to hold. Despite only being a year old, this small collective, scraping by their own funds, has not only grown a space to meet, but a space that continuously grow, one youth at a time. SIA, Southeast Youth Asian Alliance, has been a significant place in my heart, and I am not alone when I say SIA is beyond special. My name is Christopher Tang Vang, born in the Central Valley. I am a child of Hmong refugees. Since our first meeting of only 3 youth, SIA has and never will be perfect. I remember many nights in the car with my sibling where we have conversations of how a meeting went. I have doubted this collective's potential, whether or not it'd be successful in its goals, and honestly quitting my commitment more than once. However, I chose, and I was chosen more than once. Through SIA, I made a lot of friends and connections. It helped me build a network of support within Merced. People like adults who pursue higher education who can give me advice, people from different high schools that I probably would have never met without SIA, and also people who have similar interests as me. If I was a bird, then my friends would be the feathers keeping me warm and helping me stay in the air. I've been in SIA for a while, and I've seen many come and go. Just as a bird's feather may fall off, a new one grows in its place, this one bigger and stronger than the last. There are many spaces and organizations in Merced. However, none are like SIA. What sets SIA apart from many youth organizations is the involvement and conversations. Sure, we talk about politics, but we also talk about how these politics relate into our lives and what they can bring home. SIA is not just a classroom setting where a teacher gives a lecture and the student's job is to learn. Both are a learning space where we can teach and learn from each other. For me, I was given a lot of insight in my everyday life that I bring back to my community, such as my family and friends. On top of knowledge, SIA has transformed me. SIA is youth-led, and a lot of young people are able to help in leading our activities and meetings. Taking advantage of this, I was able to inspire and be inspired through others with their leadership. I am a president of 2 clubs at my school, and SIA has given me the opportunity to build my facilitation skills and find who I am, as a person and also through my leadership. I transformed from a person who is afraid to get involved to a person who's a positive light for many others. As I have feathers, I am also the feathers for many, and SIA was a great platform for me to reach these individuals. In the letter from a year ago, my younger self said, "Carry me to a better place." The future I imagined was one flown by myself, and although I haven't migrated yet, I realize now that I am not flying alone. I give grace for myself, my younger self, for having high hopes, and I learned that the future can actually be more than what I imagined. Through SIA, I've begun to ask, what kind of bird am I? Well, it's SIA that allows me to choose and discover. A bird, when having no feathers, has a hard time, and if needed, a harder time migrating alone. I am a bird with wings as strong as 100 people, with a flock who carry each other. I am a bird who chooses and is being chosen. One youth at a time, uplifting our community, flying and breaking chains with community and unity. SIA is a special place, as we are not one, but many.
Thank you, Chris. That was amazing. Along with the acknowledgement of Southeast Asian Youth Alliance, I would like to acknowledge each of the young people up here. And so I will be presenting an award on behalf of the city to each of you. Let's start. Do you mind helping me? All right. We'll start with Christopher. You're up first. David. Aragon. Jaden. Jaden's not here. Nope. Elena. Philip. Suki. Noel. And Stephanie. So again, I want to say I'm proud of each and every one of you. I know a lot of the youth aren't able to make it tonight, but the ones that are up here, proud of the ones that aren't here as well. And so continue to do what you do. Thank you.
All right, that was cool. All right, thank you, Councilmember Zhang, and congratulations to all the young people who are members of SIA. Thank you.
Agenda item I2, proclamation, Joyce Dale, Merced's first poet laureate.
All right, thank you, Alejandra. This one's a long time coming, but we're here to recognize our very own Joyce Dale. As you can see, as always, there's so many different ways to show our community love and so many different ways to brighten our community. And our very own Joyce Dale, who does so much for this town and has done so for a long, long time, just does incredible work for our community and shows it nothing but love all the time. So this one's been a long time coming. There's been a lot of talk for a long time to honor Joyce and make it official as our poet laureate. And so if everybody could please give Joyce a big round of applause as she comes up. And I want to. Is anyone coming up with you, or just get a lot of support? All right. So Joyce, again, want to thank you for being here. We're here to honor you and all your contributions to our town and all the light that you show through your words, through your poetry. And I just want to give you a chance first to say a few words.
Okay, well, you know what? I was going to wait till after you, but here are my few words right here. Y'all know how I do. I get started, I always got to run back and come bring up something. But on behalf of my committee, I am so grateful to everyone, all of you, you know, in here. I do poetry all over Merced, and for you calling me Merced's Poet Laureate all these years, you know, and they were like, you the Poet Laureate? I guess so, the mayor says I am. So anyway, I wrote this poem here for the city. I've written several poems to the city of Merced that I'm gonna really start publishing them in the next few weeks. I want to use several of our newspapers to publish those poems. I'm sure hopefully they'll be happy to have their Poet Laureate put poetry in their magazines and newspapers. This poem I wrote is called Thank You, Merced. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Merced. Thank you, Poet Laureate Committee. Thank you for your applause and encouragement all across this city. I love Merced. I was born here. My journey took me very far away. I always knew, at least I always felt, that I'd be returning someday. God let me know when it was time to come home. He gave me a job to do. So I followed him, and I was obedient. I shared love poetically with all of you. It is an honor for me to stand before you as the first Poet Laureate of Merced. It will be my pleasure to represent you with good news that I plan to spread.
Well, formal pictures in a second as soon as I'm done. But again, I want to thank you, Joyce. Everything you do for our community is so deeply appreciated. We love you. You're a great shining light in our town. And through your poetry, you bring happiness and joy and really make so many community events extra special because of what you do. All right, here's our proclamation. Whereas Joyce Dale, longtime Merced resident, has dedicated her poetry to serving the Merced community by embracing its diversity and rich cultural heritage through the literary arts. She showcases the identity of the Merced community and celebrates its history through expansive and expressive poetry that reflects its essence. And whereas Joyce Dale's poetic expression honors a deep-rooted literary tradition of engaging the community by celebrating its history, hopes, goals, and emotions that unite its members in honoring shared values and perspectives while commemorating the citizens that embrace Merced as home. Joyce's father, Edward Huddleston, was known all over Merced County for the poems he would write to families after a loved one passed or to celebrate an anniversary or just about anything happy or sad. And whereas as Merced's first Poet Laureate, Joyce Dale symbolizes the importance of artistic and literary expression at the heart of our community and its shared experiences. This esteemed position embodies the collective voices of our writers, poets, and the broader citizenry who seek a better world through the arts. And whereas Joyce Dale, in her role as Merced's first Poet Laureate, serves as a reminder that a vibrant literary community is vital for understanding the stories of our past and present, as well as envisioning our future. By capturing our stories, experiences, and identities through poetry, we document our history. And whereas as Poet Laureate of Merced, Joyce Dale recognizes her role in empowering all citizens of Merced to embrace our poetic nature and connect with one another. In doing so, she encourages the citizens of Merced to appreciate each other and the gift of self-expression through poetry. And now, therefore, I, Matthew Serrato, Mayor of the City of Merced, do hereby affirm the significance of Joyce Dale, Merced's first Poet Laureate, in promoting the reading, writing, and creation of poetry as a means of self-expression and personal joy through the arts. Hopefully the first of many, too, that you inspire many others, and many others follow in your footsteps as well. And you had a great committee who fought like crazy for this, and they...
My daughter actually came from Atlanta, my sister from Las Vegas.
There are events on, is it May 9th and May 31st? Yes. Donna? Calling you back up, Joyce.
Oh, okay.
If Rhonda says do it, you got to do it.
You know what? Did you guys want to from the committee come up and help talk about the crawl, please? Okay, anyway, okay, this Friday on May 9th, we will be starting at the Coffee Bandit at 5 o'clock. Okay, Kim is going to come up and tell everybody about the events. Thank you, Kim, so much. I'm a little bit nervous right now, and I'm really kind of shy, you guys. I really am.
You want to stay here? Yeah, okay. We're just, we're really proud that you are our Poet Laureate. It's such an honor to have you as the Poet Laureate. And so we're going to start off the festivities at 5 p.m. at Coffee Bandits. Rhonda Baston, where's Rhonda? Oh, okay. Hi, Rhonda. Rhonda and her daughter are going to, we have a host at each event at from 5 to 6 because Coffee Bandits closes at 6. It's going to be at Coffee Bandits, and we're going to have some incredible poets there, just incredible. And then we're going to move on to the Merced Multicultural Arts Center. We have the wonderful Colton over here, and he's going to be the host of that. And what we're having, as I said, just incredible poets. And then we're going to move over to El Capitan Hotel in the courtyard, and we're having the Poet Laureate of California, Lee Herrick, is going to read there with the Poet Laureate of Modesto, Angela Drew, and please come out. It's free to the public, and it's going to be an opportunity to hear Joyce read and to hear so many wonderful poets read. And you want to talk about the May 31st?
Yes, May 31st, we're going to be at the Multicultural Arts Center with Colton and team to have our inauguration for Miss Joyce, honoring her for this great title she has now for Merced. At 3 o'clock.
Oh, do you want to say it? Thank you.
5 o'clock on Friday, 3 o'clock on the 31st.
Agenda item I3, Proclamation Merced SPCA.
All right, thank you, Alejandra. Everyone who's here from the SPCA, come on up. All right, we're also here tonight for a proclamation in honor of the Merced SPCA and all the exceptional work that they do to protect animals in our community. So Cindy, I'll turn it over to you real quick.
Well, thank you. A lot of people, when they hear Merced SPCA, you think of these stray animals in the community and that we are trappers and colony caretakers of cats. What a lot of people don't know is we also support pets. Whether it be through a euthanasia program for end-of-life services for pets or our low-cost vaccination clinics, our low-cost spay and neuter. We also support pets when we get pet owners who come to us are very nervous. Their cat has had kittens or their dog has had puppies. We give them supplies, food, blankets, bottles, formula, and we offer any kind of assistance we can. We are also out in the schools, starting in elementary school, in the high schools, as well as in the UC, and we go out there for educational events or literacy events that they may have, and we usually bring some of our pets or some of our special girls. Tonight you have Rosie and Shelly. We did have some kittens, but they were getting fussy. They're only a month old, and so their foster mom decided to take them back home. So when you think of National Pet Month, you can also think of Merced SPCA. Not only are we out there protecting our most vulnerable in the community, we're also here to support pet owners in Merced. We want to make sure your pets stay healthy. We want to make sure that they're happy, and we are here to offer any assistance we can.
Thank you, Sid. Anyone else? Okay. All right, again, I want to thank you all. We're here tonight to honor you and to uplift all the incredible work that you do supporting animals in our community and supporting pet owners and everybody who cares and loves about animals, of which there are so many in our town. Whereas more than 6 million pets end up homeless every year in the United States, and whereas Merced SPCA was founded in 1969 as an organization to oversee the ethical treatment of farm animals in Merced County, and whereas the Merced SPCA continues to provide daily care to over 70 colonies of Merced's homeless and abandoned animals, and whereas Merced SPCA's Trap, Neuter, and Return program prevented the births of over 11,000 unwanted kittens in 2024 and contributed to the reduction of the animal shelter's euthanasia rate. And whereas Merced SPCA has vaccinated Merced's pets against fatal feline illnesses through their clinics. And whereas in 2025, Merced SPCA has spayed and neutered 150 of Merced's feline pets through their low-cost program. And whereas Merced SPCA's volunteers support Merced's homeless pets through donations of time and funds. And whereas the Merced SPCA has rescued hundreds of animals and found loving homes for them. Now therefore I, Matthew Serrato, Mayor of the City of Merced, do hereby proclaim that in honor of National Pet Month, that the City of Merced recognizes the Merced SPCA as a valued community organization that tirelessly advocates for the protection, compassionate care, and respect for Merced's homeless animals and pets. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you all. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, guys. All right, Alejandra, on to J, written petitions and communications.
Agenda item J, written petitions and communications. Mayor, the clerk's office received an email from Alicia Rivera from agenda item B1. Emails were also received from Chaz Stevens and a concerned citizen regarding public comment. The emails were received by the 1 p.m. deadline. They were sent to council and posted on the city's website. Any emails received after the 1 p.m. deadline will be sent to council. Agenda item K, public comments. Members of the public who wish to speak on any matter not listed on the agenda may speak during this portion of the meeting and will be allotted 3 minutes. The mayor may propose a further time limit to the time available for all speakers at the discretion of the city council in order to accommodate as many speakers as possible. State law prohibits the city council from acting at this meeting on any matter raised during the public comment period. Members of the public who wish to speak on a matter that is listed on the agenda will be called upon to speak during discussion of that item. And Mayor, I currently have 7 request to speak forms.
Okay, 3 minutes each, and call the first several at your discretion.
Okay, can I have Logan McCackney?
Oh.
And I'm going to call 3 more speakers. I'll have Stephen Russos, Mark Henry, and Rosie Avalos of the Merced PAC 96 Cub Scouts.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, city attorney, city secretary, is that your title?
Deputy City Clerk.
Deputy City Clerk, members of the public. My name is Logan McCackney.
Please start the time.
I am the past council chairman for Lions Clubs International of California and Nevada, consisting of some 30,000 Lions in those 2 states. Lions Clubs International is the largest service organization in the world. We have 1.5 million around the world in 192 countries and territories. We were formed in 1917 by an act of Congress. We are the only service organization chartered by the Congress of the United States, and we're the only service organization to have a seat in the UN. We were formed in 1917 by a fellow by the name of Melvin Jones. He had a position much like yours. We are 1.5 million strong. Lions Clubs International has honors and awards. The highest honor that Lions Clubs International can present is the Melvin Jones Fellow, named after the founder of Lions Clubs International. I noticed when Matt was giving out his awards, he liked to say his name over and over again, that he was the one signing everything. I'm sure the council gets tired of that. But Matt, would you please come out to the well? All right. We have some Lions here, we have some lawyers here, we have some doctors here, we have some Cub Scouts here. We have a whole bunch of people here to see if you can get over there without falling. The Lions Clubs has a foundation. It's called Lions Clubs Foundation. And they have a president of the Lions Club Foundation. It's a Dr. Patty Hill. She is a Canadian. She doesn't want to be part of the United States. However, when Matt was nominated, I think she was confused that he was not Crocodile Dundee. This is not Australia, and there are no alligators here, no matter what anybody says. But he sent a letter that I'd like to read at this point. And the letter says, on behalf of Lions Clubs International Foundation, congratulations on becoming a Melvin Jones Fellow. Because of you, we're making a difference in the lives of so many in the world. The Melvin Jones Fellowship is named for Melvin Jones, the founder of Lions Clubs International. It is largely due to the growth of the fellowship program that LCIF has been able to meet humanitarian needs in communities around the world. Through LCIF funding, we are fighting diabetes, preventable blindness, childhood cancer, and more. We're feeding the hungry, responding to natural disasters, empowering young people for success, and protecting our environment. With the support from our global foundation, Lions are making a difference around the world and changing lives for the better. Because of Matt's involvement with youth, the environment, hunger, working as a judge for our Student Speakers Foundation, helping the youth, and the Cub Scouts are here because of you. They want to let you know how much they appreciate you. You're out in the community, and again, I think they were a little confused when you were nominated. You're not Crocodile Dundee. But before I read the last paragraph, I want to introduce the two people next to you. One, unfortunately, or for her, is my wife. She's a past district governor in charge of all the Lions in this area, and she's holding the plaque you're about to receive. But the gentleman behind her is the district governor for this area, Lion Eric Chung. He's in charge of all the Lions in the Northern California. And I'd like for him to pin on your left lapel the Melvin Jones Fellow. A little higher, Eric, up on the corner there. You can put it where it belongs. I'd like to read this last paragraph from Patty Hill. Wear your Melvin Jones Fellowship lapel pin with pride. It represents your commitment to humanitarian service to the highest degree. Thank you for your continued dedication and support around the world. Congratulations, Matt.
That was cool. Do you want to say anything, or I don't know, how's that? That just it? No words? Okay.
We're out of time.
Okay, sorry.
That was good. Just real quick, thank you, Logan. Thank you, everybody else. I really appreciate it. You guys are wonderful, and look forward to all the good work ahead of us. All right, Dr. Russo.
Whew, that was nice. Steve Russo, City of Merced. I have 3 things I'll discuss in 3 minutes. The first is we had our wonderful Neighbors Unidos cookout on April 27th. This is where we come out to the city and we help educate our residents about the city council, what it is, who city council members are, what we do. We probably had, I know we cooked over 100 burgers, so we probably had at least 50 people. And it was a really nice event at McNamara Park. We'll be having our next one, the fourth Saturday of May, and the districts that are left are District 5 and 6. So we'll be contacting council members Zhang and Boyle to just make sure to see what your availability is and join us there. But it's been wonderful to have that little grant from the city council. All of you who joined us, it has been a joy to just get residents together and get to know each other while also learning more about what the city council is and also what stewardship means. The next 2 announcements I have, one is we were very lucky to have funding from the Central Valley Opportunity Fund and Sierra Health Foundation. When I say we, this is the organization that I also work with, which is called Hlu Hmong Center. And Hlu means love in Hmong. And those 2 organizations were able to fund a delegation of 34 residents from the city of Merced to attend the Hmong National Development Conference in Minneapolis for a week in April, where we had 18 youth participate, and they learned all kinds of things from programs to improve behavioral health, community development funds, and financial prosperity programs, all kinds of things that are going to be coming back to Merced. I know some of them are going to be reaching out to you to have conversations about what they learned and maybe how some of those lessons could be supporting our prosperity for Southeast Asian communities here in Merced. The last thing I want to mention is that this Saturday is a huge celebration that builds off the recognition of Hmong American Day that the city provided last May. And this is the 50th celebration of the Hmong American community here in Merced. And it's being celebrated throughout California, but in Merced it's celebrated this Saturday. So I brought some flyers for that. I think many of you probably also received this electronically. It'll be at Castle. There'll be food, entertainment, some presentations, more awareness and raising about who we are as a Hmong community and what that means in terms of prosperity for Merced. I welcome all of you to come, and all of those of you who are also in the audience, please join us. And there'll be definitely some, it's not 90 degrees, there'll be some nice celebrations in the actual area where there's a big field there, a soccer field, where people can also enjoy themselves. But hopefully it's not 90 degrees. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Roussos. Appreciate all your contributions. Well-deserved round of applause.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Mark Henry. I am the Director of Events and Youth Programs for the Dr. Jennifer M. Jones Foundation. We are a foundation that has been in Merced for the last 2 years. We opened up an office in Merced 2 years ago. We're opened one up in Mariposa and a soon to be one in Santa Cruz as well. Came here just for 2 reasons. One, because I don't think our foundation has formally introduced ourselves to the public like this before, and so we wanted to come and say hi, show a face. Hopefully, we are the name or my face is familiar to a few of you. If not, it will be very soon. On May 31st, I know there were a lot of activities and things going on that was talked about, but on May 31st, we have an event coming up. We usually do a lot of resource fairs, some that Mayor Serrato has attended and had fun with. And so we have one coming up in May 31st, our first one for the summer, to kick off the summer. It's going to be at Applegate Park. I actually have a few invitations, personalized invitations from Dr. Jones herself, who wanted to invite all of the district representatives. We are missing 2 people, and to the 2 who don't get them, y'all are still invited. We're sorry. We just didn't catch your names on the list that we got, but please do not feel left out because we want y'all there as well. Yes, so we just wanted to introduce us, say hello, and invite y'all to our family fair on May 31st. We hope to see y'all there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. May 31st, Applegate Park, what time?
Applegate Park, it is at 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So enough time to come at any time, you know, have some free food. There's gonna be free food, games of all kinds, presentations and workshops for people of all ages as well. So it's gonna be a really fun day for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Send our regards to Dr. Jones. All right, next speaker, Alejandro.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Rosie Avalos, and I'm a den leader with Merced Cub Scouts, PAC 96. We are the only PAC here in Merced County. You'll see a few of the boys here with us today. Our entire PAC was not able to make it tonight, but these boys have been anxious to present something to Matt and the rest of City Council. I'd like to introduce Heather Whaling. She is our Cub Master. We have a couple of other den leaders here with us tonight. We have Rick and Deborah Maddox. We also have Desiree Brown. I'm not sure where she's at right now. I'm sorry. There you are. We have Janelle as well towards the back of the room. Janelle, come on forward. Okay, she's a little shy. Janelle and Heather are backbone of our PAC, so we are full of all sorts of activities with Merced Cub PAC 96, but I did want to announce tonight that we are here to present a small token of appreciation to Matt, Mayor Matt, for always supporting the PAC. Good evening, Mayor Serrato, council members, and community members. On behalf of Merced PAC 96, I want to extend our heartfelt thanks to you, Mayor, for your continued support of our Cub Scouts. Your presence and encouragement and recognition mean so much to our Scouts and their families. I'm sorry I did not bring my glasses. You hit 40 and all goes downhill. PAC 96, actually I'm 24. PAC 96 is more than just an after-school activity. It's a foundation where boys and girls in our community learn responsibility, service, and leadership. From building Pinewood Derby cars to participating in flag ceremonies and service projects, these young scouts are learning the values that help build strong citizens and a strong foundation where boys and girls in our community learn responsibility, service, and leadership. I think I repeated that, I'm sorry. Mayor Serrato, your support helps show our Scouts what they do and what they do matters. When local leaders take time to acknowledge their efforts, it reinforces that their community stands behind them. Whether it's through attending events, offering encouraging words, or simply making space for us in the city's priorities, you've helped show our youth what leadership looks like. Thank you again for being part of their journey and helping PAC 96 grow into the future leaders of Merced. Braden? I think we're okay. Braden Avalos, also my son, would like to say a few words.
Hello, my name is Braden Avalos, and I'm part of the Cub Scouts. I'm an Arrow of Light, and we get to do so much fun stuff around town and stuff, like picking up trash or like helping people out. And I just wanted to thank Mayor Matt Serrato for supporting us through everything we've done in city cleanups and letting us come to city council meetings and stuff like that. So I just wanted to thank him and the PAC for supporting us. Thank you, Mayor Matt Serrato and City Council.
Great.
So we brought some Cub Scout popcorn. This is our equivalent to Girl Scout cookies. We sell popcorn that's probably hopefully enough for all of you if you can share it.
Okay.
And
Three
then
more.
Dale, you want to give the mayor that his specialty?
So Matt, we'd like you to come down real quick with the boys to accept your token.
You want to open it up for him?
Probably should open them. Yeah. There's another gift, by the way.
There's something in the box.
Yeah.
Mayor Matt, you got to open the thing in the box.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to want to see that. Can you recognize it?
So the boys decided to get Matt Serrato, our mayor, a bobblehead, his very own bobblehead. It's a little, yeah, a little more gray than we thought, so. He wants a handshake, Matt.
Oh,
And the next one.
Thank you, Rose.
Okay, can I get the next three speakers? Nicola Adams, Chris Jensen, and Daryl Jordan.
All right, thank you, Alejandro. All right, Ms. Adams.
Yes. I'm not gone.
Thank you. Good evening, council persons, mayor, city manager, and attorney, and everyone. I am Nicola Adams, a resident of Merced. I'm also the founder, president, and organizer of the Merced County Nut Festival. I'm here to share with you that the Merced County Nut Festival is celebrating its 5th year this October. Thank you. It will be held on October 18th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Merced County Fairgrounds. We're encouraging all vendors, anyone who wants to sponsor or advertise in our commemorative booklet, please do so. This year it's going to be a little different. It's going to be a little bigger. It's going to be a little better. The Merced County Nut Festival was formed in 2019. And it came together because at that time period, there was a lot of division going on in our country, and it trickled down to our community and our families. And it was like, what is there that we could do to help put our community back together again? And we looked at it and saw our community, when you look around it, you see nothing but orchards. So we put together the very first Merced County Nut Festival. And it was me and 3 other ladies, and everyone told us we couldn't do it. Within 4 months, we raised $16,000. We had we had 32 vendors, and it was attended by 1,675 people. And so our last one was attended by over 4,000 people. This one, we're hoping for a little over 6,000 people. But this is something that we really know could grow Merced. We have people now, vendors that are coming as far away as Los Angeles that are contacting us, San Jose, and we even have one this year that's contacted us from New York City. And so it is getting out there, Merced. And what we're asking is that Merced comes out and supports this. This is a free event for the public. This is something about us to show the world who we are. We are a major player on the world stage when it comes to our almonds, pistachios, and walnuts. Our mission statement is to celebrate the industry, educate the public on the process from grower to table, because there's a lot of processes in between. But we also give back to the community in the form of sponsorships and scholarships to organizations that work with youth 13 to 17 years old through educational arts programs. And so when you look at the Merced County Nut Festival, it is about us. And I thank the City Council for their past support. I hope they'll continue supporting us. And like I said, for the community, please come on out. It's a great event. I promise you won't regret it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nicole. Next speaker.
Can I project this?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, Chris Jensen, Parks and Community Services. Just wanted to let the community know, as well as council, that we have our Movie in the Park Summer Series lineup that's been released last week. We have save the dates available on our social media pages, but just wanted to let everybody know that May 16th, not this Friday, but next Friday, we'll be kicking off the series showing Moana 2. And I want to thank our sponsors, First Five of Merced County, as well as the Art Carmagar Theater, who will be hosting the first and any other movies that'll be over 100 degrees this summer. We will be using that facility. So thank you again for that partnership. Look forward to seeing you all out there with us. Just as an additional note, the movie starts at sundown, which is about 7:30, 7:45. We always have preliminary activities, so come on out for some snacks and a good time with family, friends, and neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Mr. Jordan.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just want to come and give you a quick update on what's going on throughout our community. We got a lot of projects underway, if you haven't noticed, and I'm sure you have. I'm going to briefly just go over the top 15 that we've got going on right now and that we're managing throughout the city. The first two are two CMAQ projects. CMAQ Child's Project, Child's Avenue, multi-use path. We're about 60% complete with that project. Estimated completion date is July of 25. Construction is moving along. Part of the pathway is complete, and we're working on hydrant locations currently. Our second CMAQ project is at McGregor and Park West. We're installing sidewalks there. We're about 50% complete with this project. Estimated completion June of 25. Crews are moving along with sidewalk installation and working on hydrant locations there as well. Stephen Leonard Building Rehabilitation. We're about 90% complete with that project. Estimated completion is in May this month. The base bid construction is almost complete. The contractor is working on installing the electrical panel and discussing flooring options with staff at the moment. Touch-ups are being worked on. Staff will come to council in the near future to discuss options for a few additional works on the project. Fourth project is our Main Street directional project. We're about 10% complete with that. If you were downtown today, you saw the grinding that's going down. That happened today and was complete today. The base bid construction is almost complete. Oh, sorry. The estimated completion date for the directional project is July of 25. Main Street from MLK to M Street is closed this week to perform the phase 1 of the road resurfacing. Did you have a diagram for that? We will be moving the existing removing the existing asphalt and laying brand new asphalt throughout this whole corridor. It's going to look fantastic when we're done. Here's a diagram if you want to see the extent of the project here on the overhead. I do want to remind our community and those that are here that we have 2 flower shops that are still open right now, and we have Mother's Day coming up this weekend, so please utilize those services. Also, we have multiple restaurants still open downtown, so please plan your time, your brunches, or whatever you have, and support our local business folks. Would be very appreciative during this construction phase. Bob Hart Square, which is adjacent to our Main Street directional project. It's 25% complete. Estimated completion is August of this year. This consists of a water main installation spanning from 16th Street through to Canal Street. It's almost complete. The contractor is running into a few unknown utilities, causing a slight delay, but basically still on schedule there. 6 projects, a community.
Get 6 projects in 6 seconds.
6 seconds. All right. You got, yeah, we won't get through them all. So we got 10 other projects that we can give you updates on, but basically we've got projects going throughout the entire city. Every part of the city is under construction. It's getting torn up and rebuilt at the moment. So things are happening. It's exciting.
Thank you.
And I'm glad to bring that to you. So
thank you very much for all your hard work, making a lot of things happen. And
you bet.
People can see the city's a construction zone right now.
Yeah. Your patience is appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I do have one more by, I'm so sorry if I. Kartik, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Councilmember Smith. Hey, everyone. My name is Karthik Prasad. I'm with Congressman Adam Gray's office. I'm really happy to be here. First of hopefully many city council meetings that I can attend. Apologies for not being here sooner, but figured I'd just swing by and give a quick ledge update and also announce that we're going to be publishing our mobile office hours for Merced. And the rest of this month, I believe either end of this week or beginning of next week. So keep an eye on our social medias and website and all that stuff, gray.house.gov. If any of you want to come over here and yell at me in person about any and all issues you might have with the federal government, because that's what we're here to do, is to listen to y'all and find solutions to any of the problems that everyone's having here in Merced. So big highlights are that back in April, the congressman finally released his first put his first bill onto the House floor regarding some of how the tariffs are going to be affecting our agricultural community. And that's currently being passed around. We're working on making sure that we can put some protections to make sure our constituents are not impacted too terribly by some of the federal tariffs that are ongoing right now. Additionally, he spoke in his capacity as a member of the Natural Resources Committee to the importance of water storage and hydropower in our agricultural community. So while our focus currently is mainly on water and agriculture, we are always looking for more work and more issue areas that we can help the community on. So if anyone here, including the City Council, knows of any issues involving the federal government or anything that we can assist with, please let me know. Please swing by mobile office hours. More than happy to chat about it and see what we can do for you. So thanks for having me here, and looking forward to seeing you all at the next one.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. And please thank the congressman for all his work. Anyone else, Alejandro?
No, Mayor, we don't.
All right, takes us to consent. Item L on our calendar. Anyone like to have any of the consent items pulled for separate consideration? Councilmember Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to pull item L4.
Okay, so our AT&T Telecom Services. Or anyone else? Alejandro, anyone from the public wish to have any item pulled for separate consideration?
No, Mayor, we do not.
All right, discussion or a motion with respect to the balance?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, DuPont and Boyle.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember DuPont and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Boyle. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. Mr. Danda?
Sometimes you.
Mr. Nyanda, we're waiting for your vote for the consent calendar. We're waiting for your vote for the consent calendar.
Shane can help you on here, or else I could try. We have the consent agenda. Councilmember Harris pulled item L4. So this is the remainder of the consent agenda, every item except L4. Councilmember DuPont made a motion, Mayor Pro Tem Boyle seconded. to approve the remaining consent agenda items. We pulled L4, so we pulled one item, and this is to vote on the remainder, everything except L4. So we vote on them in a big block.
And the vote passes unanimously.
Thank you, Alejandro. Thank you, Councilmember Dean. All right, to L4 and Councilmember Harris.
Thank you. This is an increase of over 50%, and I'm just curious what brought that amount up.
Benioff was quick to be up there ready to answer.
The largest increase that is accounted for is because we did an annexation of UC Merced. So additional telecommunication circuits are required to extend services for public safety two-way radio that we're working on as part of that annexation process.
Awesome. Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second pending. We have Councilmember Zhang with a comment or a question.
Just a question, as it's mentioned with the annexation of UC Merced. Are these, I suppose I'm thinking about CFDs, are these potential dollar amounts that could be recouped through CFDs? Anyways, have we considered that? I know it's not quite the same thing, but have we considered telecommunication as part of the cost of annexation?
I might refer to Venus, but I would say telecommunications is now part of the PFFP though. But maybe to Venus in terms of including telecommunication process and part of the CFDs.
I don't think we can't do a CFD for the UC though. UC's got all the, they don't pay taxes. Turn my mic.
Good evening. I was polling the back there to see if anybody else knew. But from what I understand, CFDs don't typically recoup for those types of fees. We actually met with somebody today. We were talking about a new CFD, and that was not something that came up. She didn't propose it. She didn't discuss that. That's typically what we collect for in CFDs is ongoing services like police, fire, parks, those kinds of things. It doesn't typically include telecommunications, but we can definitely ask the question.
Okay, thank you. Again, I was just curious because that was brought up in terms of annexation, and I'm thinking, how do we recoup some of these costs in terms of annexing properties into the city? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Additional questions, comments, discussion? Okay, seeing none, Alejandro, call for the question.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Harris and a second by Councilmember Smith. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. And the vote
Press the mic on button instead of the vote.
The vote passes unanimously.
I was looking at everybody else. All right, public hearings.
Okay, agenda item M, public hearings. M1, public hearing to consider adoption of a resolution granting a certificate of a public convenience and necessity for Cal Valley Security to engage in private patrol services.
Good evening, Council. We recently received a application from Cal Valley Security. They applied for a business license to offer security patrol services here in the city of Merced. They currently operate all throughout the state. They one second, I left my paper back there. Okay. Excuse me.
Mayor, while he's grabbing his paperwork, I've reviewed the paperwork for this. I have no objections to this company coming into our community and providing security services as well. I know he has more details, but before you ask, I've reviewed it and have no objections either.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. All right, Sergeant Riddle.
Sorry about that. Yes, they're a private security firm requesting to do business in the city of Merced. They're licensed, they're based out of Fresno. They provide security services all throughout the state, Stockton, Sacramento, Modesto, Fresno, Visalia, Tehachapi, Bakersfield. Matter of fact, at the time that I spoke to them about their application, they were actually offering security services for the areas of Los Angeles that were burned in the fire. They hold a current private operator license issued by the Bureau of Security Investigative Services. It's current for the next 2 years. They're in good standing with the Department of Consumer Affairs, and they currently employ 70 employees throughout the state, and they have 4 dedicated to serve the Merced area. Conducted a background check on the owner and qualified manager. There's no pending criminal cases, no pending civil litigation, and they're all in good standing. Impact on city resources, there's none. Their request to do business in the city of Merced, it's not designed to replace police services. It's basically more eyes and more places, similar to like the trailer cameras. So if they see something suspicious, they can generate a police response. That is all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sergeant Ritter. Any questions? And again, the purpose of this, as we do periodically, is if a private, Chief, if I want to defer to you, just the purpose of this public hearing.
Yes, Mayor, we often get requests for street closures, permitted events, and one of the things that I always ask is, what is your safety and security plan? It's the first question I'll ask. And so we have vendors and we have events, like we had some this weekend, and we need to look for private security firms that can provide security to these events that do not drain any of our police resources or tie up any of our police resources or require any of our officers to come in on overtime to staff them. There's many events like this that private firms like this can come. They can provide safety and security. They're reputable firms that work with the police department. They're trusted. We know them. We have contact with the owners and the management companies. So if we have concerns, we can contact them directly. And it's a huge asset to the city because it provides more security and safety for all the beautiful events that we do here without draining any police resources to be there.
Thank you, Chief. All right, Alejandra, any requests to speak from the public?
No, Mayor, we do not.
We'll open the public hearing at 7:30. Again, I'll ask, is there anything from the public? Now's the time to be heard on this item if anybody's interested. Okay, seeing none, receiving no requests to speak for them as well. I will close the public hearing. Again, it's still 7:30. I will bring it back to council for additional discussion and action. Any further discussion, or is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Mayor Pro Tem Boyle, Councilmember DuPont, Councilmember Zhang, you have the floor, sir.
I know we approved a handful of these, I want to say, during my term up here. I don't know if right now it makes sense to say that we need more. I haven't seen the need for this, right? So this resolution is for, where's it at now? To demonstrate that there's a need for it. And I don't know if that's the case at this point. I don't know if we talked with the other patrol services that are here in Merced that we have approved previously, whether or not they are impacted, whether or not they're already overwhelmed, and this is something that is completely needed. As of right now, I don't see that.
All right, additional comments or come to vote? Do we have to, we need to make, what sort of record, turning our city attorney, do we have to make a record, or is all that contained already in the agenda packet?
The agenda packet is be part of the hearing.
Okay, thanks.
So we'd have to make new findings.
Okay, and Chief, in your comments earlier too, you mentioned the need and the need for deterrence, the need for more eyes, and also the need to prevent the draining of police resources especially when it comes to a lot of our community events.
Yes, it's a business that wants to do business in the city of Merced, and there's a lot of community events, as you've heard today. There's a lot of things going on that require a lot of security, and so some security firms can provide 2 or 3, some can provide 8, some are unavailable. So this is a fair market environment, so somebody would have to hire this service. I would not direct them to it, but it would be another approved vendor that if somebody wanted to utilize, they would have access to, and the individual financing the event would have to contract with them and work out their own arrangements. We would not get involved, but they would be an approved vendor that if they provided a security service through the security plan, this would be another approved vendor that would be allowed by the city to come here and operate.
Thank you, Chief. Additional questions for Chief? Questions for Sergeant Render? Additional discussion? Okay, we have a pending motion and a second. Alondra will call for the question.
Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Boyle and a second by Councilmember DuPont. The motion will include, I'm sorry, I'm going to read out the resolution right now.
Yes.
Okay. The motion will include Resolution 2025-23, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Merced, California, granting a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Cal Valley Security. Mayor and Council, please cast your votes. And the vote passes with Councilmember Zhang voting no.
All right. Thank you, Alejandra. Takes us to item N, our action items, and N1.
Agenda item N, action items N1, adoption of a resolution of intent regarding annexations number 28 and number 29 into Community Facilities District CFD number 2003-2 services, acceptance of 2 petition consent and waivers from developers from annexation in the CFD number 2003-2 services for annexations number 28 and 29. Approving 2 deposit and reimbursements agreements for annexations number 28 and 29, and setting a public hearing for May 19th, 2025 for both annexations. Annexation number 28 consists of approximately 4.59 acres of land generally located at the northeast corner of Yosemite Avenue and El Redondo Drive, and annexation number 29 consists of approximately 14.02 acres of land generally located at the northwest corner of El Redondo Drive and Petinati Road.
Thank you. All right, Francisco, try to make sense of all that.
All right, good evening, council, members of the audience, Francisco Mendoza. As Alejandro just read, there's quite a bit of action items for this project. The project before you, it was actually brushed upon earlier, is for Community Facility District annexation. So it's the annexation of 2 areas, annexation number 28 and annexation number 29. And this is a 2-step process. So if the request that's before you today is approved, there would be a follow-up meeting on May 19th. There would be a public hearing to take final action on these on the CFD. So what is a CFD? What does it do? What does it finance? So CFD, again, Community Finance District. The cities was formed back in 2003, so over 20 years ago, and essentially helps development pay for itself. So it helps pay for gap in funding for certain things such as services and things that require ongoing maintenance. So things that require services, that would include things like police services, fire services, and things that require ongoing maintenance would include things like parks, open space, landscaping, and storm drain systems. And so these are things that as development comes into the community, they are assessed on a case-by-case basis, and based on some of these factors listed here, how much landscaping they're gonna have, how much open space they're gonna have, staff works with our engineering staff and our finance consultant to come up with a tax dollar amount that will help cover these things, that will help cover these services, and that will help cover this ongoing maintenance. And so that's a tax line item that will show up on the developer's property tax annually. And the goal is essentially to right-size it, to make sure that that these developments are not underfunded and make sure they're not overfunded. And that's why we do the analysis and the assessment and look at each project on a case-by-case basis to make sure that services and maintenance are properly funded. So this is the first of the second annexation area that you'll be looking at. So this is annexation number 28. So you can see here it's located at the northeast corner of Yosemite Avenue and El Redondo Drive. It's the blue area shown at the center of the screen, located in Northwest Merced. This slide here is the CFD boundary map, and it shows the specific area that would potentially be annexed. So the area that would potentially be annexed with annexation number 28 is the area outlined in green, so a little over 4.5 acres. And then everything adjacent to the north and to the east, that would have a future annexation designation, and that would be for 12 acres. So again, the 4.5 acres that could be annexed. So when a project is ready to be annexed into the city CFD, that's because it's essentially pretty far along in the development stages. Essentially, the project is pretty much set in stone. It's either under construction or nearing building permit stage. And so these are the 3 projects that are in those final stages. And so that includes, as shown on this screen, on the left would be a gas station. The middle parcel would be a quick service restaurant with a retail suite that would be adjacent to it. And on the right would be a car wash. So these projects have all gone through the entitlement process, and they have already been approved. Okay, so the next project that could be annexed would be annexation number 29. So annexation number 29 is located fairly close to the previous project site. It's about 1 mile to 2 miles north of it. So it's located at the northwest corner of El Redondo Drive and Petinati. So the area shown here in blue. And this slide here shows a project that's been approved. So the area outlined in green is a project that's already been entitled, and again, it's further along the development stage. And so this is known as the Royal Woods Estates. It's a little bit over 14 acres, and there would be 111 lots for single-family homes. So before you, staff is requesting a few things. So one is the consideration to adopt a resolution of intent, declaring the intent to annex these 2 areas, number 28 and number 29, and also to set the public hearing for May 19th. So that would be the next city council meeting. The other thing that we're asking is for council to accept the petition, consent, and waiver for both projects from the property owners for annexation 28 and 29. So what this essentially does, it waives the 30-day requirement between this meeting and the final action meeting. So instead of taking action on this, the first meeting or second meeting in June, you'll be able to take action on it the next meeting of May 19th. So it helps expedite the process. And then lastly, staff is requesting that you consider accepting the deposit and reimbursement agreement for each project. Annexation number 28 has a deposit of $30,000, and annexation number 29, a deposit of $25,000. So this last bullet point here is shown as items E and F on the staff report. And so this portion of the request actually requires a vote of 5 affirmative votes in order for this portion of the request to be approved, because it's a contract budgetary consideration. Okay? So that concludes the presentation. If you have any specific questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Okay, questions for Mr. Mendoza? Councilor Jean.
Is it standard practice to annex into CFDs piecewise?
We do them on a project-by-project basis as they're, again, further along the development stages, just because the analysis, there's a lot of steps involved, and we want to make sure that the analysis is being done correctly to actually reflect the amount of money that's required in order to fund the site, the services, and the maintenance of it. So as it is right now, these could have been done separately, but in order to sort of consolidate the process, we decided to go ahead and put these 2 together and have council consider it under one item.
Okay. And then do we have a potential timeline of when we are expecting the future annexation to come into play?
There is no specific timeline. Again, both of these 2 project sites have an adjacent future annexation designation. So what that means is that since we don't have projects have been approved, but the developer is not entirely committed to them yet. And so we want to make sure that they're committed to specific projects, specific square footage or number of units before they get annexed into the city CFD. So as of right now, the other areas, we're still sort of waiting on the developers to give us the green light to proceed with annexing those two areas.
Okay, thank you. And then a question for Chief Stanfield. Do we have any sort of high calls in that area with regards to either of those two future annexation?
Well, the gas station, restaurant, and a car wash. I think it was a car wash. That's not going to generate too much usually. 100 homes. You're talking 300 people potentially. 3 people per home maybe. That's very marginal for me. When I'm talking 100,000 people here, it will, everybody we add to the city will increase the call volume, and we're seeing about a call volume increase of about 2%, which is matching about our growth rate. So to your point, something we have to think about. The more houses we add, are we adding the resources and the infrastructure to back that up? I don't see any issues with radio infrastructure. I don't see any issues right now, but it's a conversation as we continue to do that, we can't get away from. So thank you for bringing it up. But I don't see any initial issues with either of these.
Okay, thank you. Well, I was thinking more in terms of the empty lots. If we're annexing them separately into the CFDs, whether or not those empty lots are going to be getting calls in which you might have to address. Just kind of thinking, are we having these empty lots that are places where folks are, I guess, having activities out there where we should be considering?
The general answer is yes. Empty vacant lots have a tendency to be darker. They have a tendency to be more secluded, and they have a tendency to create issues at times. When we start developing and we start putting people in those places and we put power and lights and street lights and roads and neighbors that can call in, that is usually better than just a dark, empty lot. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And to supplement the chief's answer, the CFD process that we currently have goes back to 2003, so it's fairly old. And as Venus mentioned earlier, we're currently working with our financial and legal consultant with coming up with a new CFD mechanism that will help address some of the issues with these vacant lots. Just because the thing that triggers the funding for CFDs is the building permits. So if building permits are not coming in, there's no funding coming in for services and for maintenance. And so we're looking at coming up with a process where the property owners still have to contribute towards some of the impacts while the lots are empty. And to answer, just to give a little bit more information about the future annexation areas, the future annexation area that's tied to the first project over where the gas station is at, that future annexation area has a project that's already been approved, a multifamily project known as the Yosemite Villages. The developer's still iffy on the scope of that project, or maybe going retail on it. And then the other project, CFD 29, where the subdivision was at, just north of that is Royal Woods Villas project that's been approved. And it's a different housing stock, so it'd be smaller lots, gated community, that's already been approved, but they're still, thinking of the various factors before they move forward with that.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and you addressed my concerns with regards to the empty lots and developers contributing to some of those services that would need to go to empty lots.
Yeah.
Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Francisco. I noticed we got different development entities between 28 and 29. It's interesting they're packaged together. It seems like they raise different issues. Correct me if I'm wrong, annexation area number 28, there's already an open for business AM, PM on that spot. You're talking about the gas station, right?
Yes, there is.
Okay. And so that, if I'm getting the timeline wrong, please tell me. But I mean, so that area has not been annexed into the city?
No, it has not. That's why we're trying to get these up to speed, because there is some landscaping along Yosemite Avenue in the median. along Yosemite Avenue, and then also along the frontage of Yosemite Avenue and El Redondo that we want to make sure that is being properly financed.
So technically, it's in the county?
No, the property is within the city limits, but I think the question is who's.
And not annexed in the CFD?
It's already in the city limits, but it's currently not annexed into the CFD.
Okay. Is it customary to wait this long after a project is already up and running, open for business, to have this conversation about getting it in the CFD?
Ideally, we would like to initiate this process earlier. Typically, we like to tie it before a final map gets approved, just like we're doing with the second project, number 29. That final map will be coming to you guys at the next meeting. So preferably, it would be best to have it during some sort of map stage.
Okay. And I don't know if this is relevant to our conversation. I will just share it with you and with staff, and Councilmember Zhang probably has too. I've been getting complaints from residents about traffic and trash and people hanging out who maybe shouldn't be there. I mean, it's a gas station. It's got all the foreseeable gas station effects. If this property is in the CFD, is that potentially going to put our police department in a better place to deal with some of those impacts, or the city?
It definitely would. It helps enhance services there, and it helps pay for any gap in funding that there may be.
Okay. And as to 29, there's a satellite map in the agenda packet that's dated in 2018. Has the city grown up around this annexation area since that satellite photo was taken, 7 years ago?
For the most part, that area is mostly undeveloped. There has been there's the Sage, I believe it's called the Sage Creek development, which is a little bit further northeast from the site. There's been some housing that's been developed there. But for the most part, the area around it is mostly undeveloped, although a lot of those parcels have already been entitled for different types of projects. It's just a matter of getting people to put in the infrastructure. And so with that residential subdivision coming in, that will help, they'll put in that infrastructure, the roads, the utilities, the sewer, the water, and that will make it easier for other parcels to be developed.
We're confident this isn't a leapfrog development, number 29?
It's not, because there's currently development adjacent to the south and to the east of the site. So it's growing congruently with the city.
I saw 3 houses that maybe overlapped in a corner. It's probably changed since then. I mean, can you talk about how the rate was set? I mean, it appears to me city fire and police only have one way in and out of this spot, and that's through Cardella. And there's not a lot of city on either side. I mean, I have response time concerns. Is $25,000 enough to reflect, as a deposit, to reflect the impact on our public safety resources?
Well, the deposit is to pay for our legal consultants to come up with the how much additional tax is going to be needed annually. So it doesn't pay for police services necessarily. What it pays for is professional services. So it pays for our legal consultant, CFD consultant, and our financial CFD consultant that have come up with the agreements that you're looking at today and that you will be looking at the subsequent meeting, which includes the RMA and the dollar amount that each parcel is going to have to contribute.
Okay, so I guess I was confused. Let me ask a question a different way. Are we satisfied that the money that the CFD is going to generate to service number 29 is sufficient for the impact it's going to require?
Yes, because again, the projects were each analyzed based off of its intensity. So the residential subdivision is based off of the number of units and based off of the number of population growth. So something about around 3.5 people are projected to live in each unit. So based off of the population amount, that triggers X amount of contributions towards fire personnel and towards police personnel as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Councilor Smith. Anybody else? Okay, Alejandra, anything from the public on this item?
No, Mayor, we do not.
Okay, additional discussion from council or a motion. We have E and F, and correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, which are 5-vote items. The remainder are 4-vote items. Okay. So if, I don't know if we have Crazy Greg tonight who wants to take them all together, or else we could probably best to take them separate. So if, Councilmember Smith.
Thank you. I wanted a second bite at the apple up here. I'm going to support this because it seems pretty clear that we're better off having these properties in the CFD than not. But I'll just share my concern as a non-expert, and Francisco did a great job answering my questions. It feels like we're a little late in doing this, and I've got some concerns with the way that 29 has come together as a part of our city. I don't think all the impacts have been discussed or addressed, but I think that this is hopefully a step in getting us in the right direction. It seems that an annexation area like 28 that's already open for business and impacting our community should have already been paying. And so we've really missed an opportunity, and hopefully we can recoup some of those funds. So I'll stand in reluctant support tonight.
Mr. McBride.
Councilmember, I just wanted to acknowledge your comments. Just kind of procedurally, some of the steps that happen. Once the CFD is formed, it's often a year or more before we see any revenue. So want to make sure we kind of get that out there. The other thing that came up too is that it's a process we do with a map, right? And so we often have projects that are infill that are too small, but don't form CFDs at all. So the reason why this one has a CFD is the fact that it's a large area and they are doing a map, so that kicks in the requirement. We have a lot of infill development in other areas where we're not doing a CFD project because it just doesn't meet that criteria. So I hope that kind of obeys some of the concerns you have. But the whole intent of the CFD process was to create enough revenue to offset gaps in the tax program. And so that's why it's coming here before you tonight. We could talk about the merits of the other one and the TSM when that comes to the final map, or I'm happy to talk one-on-one about it, whatever would suit best for you.
All right, additional discussion or a motion. Craig, would you advise that we take E and F first, or we take the other ones first?
The other one's first,
Okay,
followed by E and F.
all right. So our city attorney has advised that we take A through D and G through I first, and then we have a second separate vote on E through F. All right. A discussion or a motion with respect to A through D and G through I on your handy-dandy agenda packet.
Move to approve.
Second.
Is that a second? Motion from Councilmember DuPont, second from Councilmember Harris.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember DuPont and a second by Councilmember Harris. The motion will include the adoption of Resolution 2025-22, a resolution of intention of the City of Merced, of the City Council of the City of Merced acting as the legislative body of the City of Merced Community Facilities District Number 2003-2 Services, declaring its intention to annex 2 areas to said district and authorize the levy of a special tax within said annexations, designating certain property for future annexation to said district and approving certain agreements related thereto. Mayor and council, please cast your votes.
All right, thank you, Councilmember DeAnda.
And the vote passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you, Alejandro. Now we'll take up items E and F. These are 5-vote items. Is there any additional discussion, questions, or a motion with respect to E and F? All right, discussion or a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Harris and DuPont.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Harris and a second by Councilmember DuPont. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. Mr. DeAnda, we're voting on recommendation E and F.
It's the same item, Ronnie, but these are separate because they require 5 votes on advice of our city attorney. So E and F, this is accepting a deposit amount of $30,000 into one fund, Fund 4500, and accepting another deposit amount, actually in the same fund, one for each of the projects. And CFD number 28 and annexation number 29. Oh. All right.
And the vote passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you, Alejandro. Thank you as always, Francisco. All right, N2.
Okay, agenda item N2. Approval to execute amendment number 18 with Tyler Technology for $296,200 and $49,859 for a performance bond for a total not to exceed amount of $5,371,306, and approval to execute amendment number 3 with SDI Presence LLC for $293,973 for a total not to exceed amount of $1,234,818, and increase expenditure authority to Thor Inc. by $20,000 for a total not to exceed amount of $879,690 for ERP CIP 180003 completion, and a 5-year SaaS agreement with Tyler Technologies for ERP software, hosting, support, and services with a total amount not to exceed $2,655,064, including a 5% contingency.
So that was a very large title. So this is a collection of contract amendments to complete our ERP project that we've been working on for 5 years, and to extend the agreement for an additional 5 years to maintain it. So a little background on history. In 1989, we got our first ERP package program, and we are still using it to this day. So we've been running the same software program to do most of our business functions for 36 years. That includes paying bills, includes utility bills, includes permitting, includes pretty much all of our core business functions that we do as a city. We've been using the same software program for 36 years. So in 2019, we put out an RFP and awarded an RFP to Tyler Technologies to replace that system. So we're working through a 5-year project to complete that. That was broken up into 6 modules. And so what I'm bringing forward today is the collection of contract amendments to complete that process. So the first contract amendment is for Tyler Technologies to increase professional services to complete the component of the project. Another contract amendment with SDI Presence for project management services to help complete the project, and a one-time $20,000 increase of expenditure authority to account for any changes that may need to occur on our current legacy ERP software project or ERP software module. In addition to that, we're asking to renew the contract for an additional 5-year term so we may continue to use the current ERP software package for the next 5 years. The current solution is sold in a subscription-based model, so we're coming up to the completion of that subscription term. If we do not renew it, all that work we've put into for the last 5 years, we couldn't use the product anymore. So we need to maintain that and move forward for another 5-year increment. In addition to that, the last component of this is a contingency dollar amount to allow for changes for the next 5 years to any regulatory items that may come up, or additional licenses or components of part of that software package. For example, certain components of the software package are licensed per user. We may add additional staff, so we need contingency to add. Or maybe we're going to do another payroll. We're going to do another bargaining unit agreement, let's say in the future, and we're going to change the terms of the agreement and need to make additional payroll changes or programmatic changes to account for that. So we need to account for these changes for the next duration of the 5-year contract. So the total increase that we're asking for out of all these contract amendments is $660,032. Currently, there's a CIP budget encumbrance. We have about $1.18 million available. The rest of the expenditures would come through 2 below-the-line budget allocations in next year's city manager recommended budget, and then the following year, each being $200,000. With that, I'll stop to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Any questions for Mr. Benioff? Mr. Cornwell?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. When you're authorizing an increase for Thor Inc. of $20,000, is that, I'm not sure if a budget amendment is required.
I don't believe a budget amendment is required, but because it's above the bid threshold, I need the additional expenditure authority.
Okay. Any others? You're talking about future budgets as well.
Correct. So we're asking for next fiscal year, so an increase of below the line $200,000 next year and then $200,000 the following year.
But we would make the appropriate appropriation into those budgets.
Correct.
Okay. And then my last question, I think, is for the our finance officer about budget adjustments. Is that a different term from budget amendments? Okay, so the answer is amendments and adjustments are the same. So J is a 5 vote.
Okay. That's it, just J?
Just J.
All right. Additional questions at this time for Mr. Benioff? Alondra, anything from the public?
No, Mayor, we do not.
All right, back to council for additional discussion and/or a motion. J is going to require 5 votes. So Craig would take A through I first and then J separately? Okay. All right, so any discussion or motion? We'll take A through I first and then J separately.
Motion.
Okay, a motion to approve from Councilmember Harris. Is there a second?
Second. Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Harris and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Boyle. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. And the vote passes unanimously.
Thank you, Alejandra. And for J, this authorizes our finance officer, Ms. Rodriguez, to make the necessary budget adjustments. Venus, is there anything you'd like to say on this, or are you just coming up for any questions?
For the next item.
Oh, or always one step ahead. All right, any discussion or motion with respect to J?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Boyle and a second by Councilmember Harris. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. Mr. Deanda, we have a
What? There you go.
and the vote passes unanimously.
All right, thank you, Alondra. Takes us to our reports. This is item O.
Agenda item O, reports. O1, update on opioid settlement funding.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. On April 7th, Councilmember Zhang requested that we provide an update on the opioid settlement and the funding. So back in 21-22, there was nationwide settlements to resolve all opioid litigations in the nation. And with those orders, it was that all the pharmaceutical distributors were required to pay $26 billion over 18 years. 85% of that is going directly to participating states and subdivisions for abatement of opioid epidemic and future abatement efforts. In 2022, the council elected to receive direct allocations of the distribution. The city attorney's office at that time came to the city council and said that we can allocate our funding to the county, or we can choose to keep it ourselves for our own use of the funding. And so the council did elect to keep that within the city. And so we are provided allocations of the opioid settlements and some bankruptcy funding that is also being provided. So the city anticipates to receive a little over 1.1 million over the next 15 years, and those payments range every fiscal year from $39,000 to $135,000 per year. So this is being administered and reviewed by the California Department of Health Services, and we are required to report annually to them by every September 30th about our prior fiscal years, what we've received between the settlements and the bankruptcy, what interest allocations we've provided for that cash funding, and what expenditures and by what activity. So there are some very specific requirements on how we can use that money. And so we're supposed to report by activity. We have to expend any money that we've received or encumber it within 5 years from receipt or 7 years for any capital outlay. And so far, we have submitted reports to the state for fiscal year 22-23 and for 23-24, which were included in the administrative report that you received. And this is the summary of the opioid funding. So for 22-23, 23-24 for the full fiscal years, and then 24-25 to date, we've received a little over $460,000 in settlement distributions. We've received a little over $23,000 in bankruptcy distributions, and we've allocated approximately $25,000 in interest. And we've expended close to $16,000. So we have a balance remaining currently of about $493,000 in settlement funding. So how can we use the funding? The state put out a guidance on how that funding can be used. There are 3 big picture activities: treatment, prevention, and other strategies. I just list a few of the items here of maybe how the city could use it. Under prevention, there's the misuse of opioids. So there's media campaigns to prevent misuse, public education, engaging nonprofits and faith-based communities as systems to support prevention. There's community education programs in schools, preventing overdose deaths and other harms. So the distribution of naloxone, also known as Narcan, to treat overdoses, and training and education. And other strategies would be potentially using it for first responders education and wellness. So the way that they want to use it for the first responders is educating them on how to use Narcan, or also providing mental health type of support for anybody from secondary trauma to dealing with incidents of opioid use. And so far, as I mentioned, we've only used close to $16,000 of the funding, and the way that we've used it so far is through a drug awareness campaign, so purchasing of audio and visual equipment to aid in public education, and we've also purchased and distributed fentanyl test strips to the unhoused communities during outreach events. And this next slide, I'm going to let the chief kind of fill you in, because this funding has really been allocated to the police department to be able to use it for some of the resources that they might need in this area. And so I'm going to let him kind of fill you in on what their plan is for the use of this funding.
I want to thank our finance officer for helping me get this report prepared. She did most of the work, but for us, it's a very restrictive grant funding source. It's not an open source. So many police agencies up and down the state utilize this money, and unfortunately, some of my colleagues are spending this money thinking that they're falling within the guidelines of this grant, and then the grant oversight committee is reviewing what they've spent it on and telling them that's an unapproved purchase, and they're having to come out of pocket. I'm not that bold to risk the city's money without getting a yes first. So we're doing it different here. What we're trying to do is we are getting projects and presentations ready and proposals ready. We're submitting those proposals to the grant approval committee, and we're asking the grant approval committee to approve our projects and approve our technology and approve our purchases before we go purchase them. So we already have our in writing, yes, that's approved, go buy, so that we don't run the risk of potentially putting the city in a financial hardship with having to repay the grant. So we have put several projects before them. And they've said no to several of the ideas that we've thrown out, which we felt like we were in line with the program. This is not an overtime grant that pays for overtime for officers to go out and do drug enforcement campaigns or to do drug stings. That's not the purpose of this. We are super proud that we worked with Chris Jensen's team and with Ken Elwin's team to provide them with test strips and Narcan training, so more city staff that are out in the community picking up trash and dealing with individuals have the ability that if they see something, they can test these things before. But we have three main projects that we're currently working on right now that we're waiting on some answers to. One of them is a very large technology software data that the data source that the entire county is going to it. All of our partners are also trying to buy this. It's a partnership through Peregrine Technologies where we can monitor and track drug use, drug overdose, drug arrests. And what we can do is be extremely efficient with finding fentanyl, finding these opioids, finding the drugs, and then tracking back the perpetrators of who's bringing these drugs into our community and work collectively with our county partners to try to bring some justice to what we're seeing as the opioid epidemic in our community. The county recently bought this project. They're working through the process of it. Unfortunately, they didn't do the pre-approvals, which we did. That's why if it comes much faster for them, we're waiting to have a conversation with the opioid settlement. At initial glance, they said, I don't know if it fits. So we're having some ongoing conversations with them to see if this is going to be a project, and it's a $70,000 a year to $100,000 a year project. And so I want to make sure we're not setting ourselves up to pay that money back. As you can see, the first couple years, as our finance officer said, we got $67,000 last year. That's not a large dollar amount to go out and buy a lot of things, but this year we got almost $300,000. That was a huge windfall of money that was completely unexpected to me, I will tell you. I was not expecting that large of a settlement amount to come this year. I don't think any of us were. So that's one project is Peregrine that we have on the table. We have a negotiation going on with Peregrine right now. Their business manager has been to our office several times. And I feel like I have him on staff. He's been there so much, but so far we're just trying to get a contract settled to work this through our real-time information center. And I just want to remind you, we are the only fully functioning real-time information center in this entire county. So it would all funnel through our real-time information center. I know the sheriff's eager to get one started too, but we are up and running. So this would funnel through that. Second program that we work real hard with, and I wish Lieutenant Barajas was here. He reached out to our partners at Pathways. Many of you have toured Pathways. Many of you are familiar with Pathways. That is a youth outreach program to help keep kids, from getting around drugs and misbehaving a little bit. So we're trying to partner with Pathways and see how this opioid money can help funnel through Pathways to assist them in their youth outreach programs, because they're much better equipped to deal with their inpatient and outpatient services that they have going on there, their youth outreach programs, but working in partnership with Pathways to be a partner with Pathways to help them in their projects that they're moving forward. And if you haven't taken a tour of Pathways, I really encourage you to do that. It's a partnership that we actually would be extremely happy to work with. But again, we have not gotten approval from the oversight board, from the fentanyl grant oversight board to say that that is an approved project. So we're kind of in this limbo waiting phase for that. The last one, which is my project that I would like to see, is I would like to see a civilian staff member trained in youth and drug outreach that you see often work with the county and BHRS and some of our other county partners, but I would like to see this person be a city staff member. I hear a lot about bringing services here, that people that work for us, but maybe, and it is, by the way we read the grant, an approved service to hire a civilian outreach specialist. It's something very similar to what Modesto has in their care team, which you may have seen or heard of, and they have the units that go out and they work with the unhoused, they work with people that are experiencing drug addiction, they respond where the police don't necessarily need to be there, but they're outreach specialists designed to deal with outreach needs. And now that we have some money that could sustain a program for more than 6 months or a year, I think there could be enough money in there that, and we have written a job specification specifically for it, but that would require us, and if we move forward with that and we get approval for that, it will be something we'll take to a personnel board in the future. The way the process works here in Merced, we'll get approval for a new position through the personnel board, which I would have fully funded by this grant. And that individual would work hand in hand with the police department, be part of our, envision it as part of our DART outreach team, just a non-sworn part of it, kind of like an outreach care individual, not an officer, but a civilian staff member that can go out and do outreach services in our own community to help us. And if an officer encounters somebody dealing with addiction, they could call for the specialist to respond, and we could do what's called the warm transfer over to our outreach specialist, and the officer can go about their day and the outreach specialist can stay there and do their work. So those are the three main projects that we would like to have. Obviously, we broke it up into three categories: data collection for better prevention, expand our partnerships through outreach, and then provide services where we just currently are not able to. So that's how we would like to see that. We are just kind of in a waiting phase. I will warn you, the Oversight Grant Board is not real quick to respond to the emails. They don't respond within a day. I've waited a month so far, and then I sent another email, and they say, we still are, we hear you. So I got the quit bugging me very quickly in the email. So we're partnering with them, and we're trying to be cautious, I think is the right word, and making sure that we are not putting the city in a financial burden where we feel like we're meeting the obligations of a grant. I hope I'm saying that right, finance officer, without getting told in 6 months to a year that although we thought we were doing it right through the grant, we've made an error and we owe the money back because it's unapproved, if that makes sense. So that is our plan at the police department and how we would like to use the money in the future.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Councilmember Harris.
Thank you. Chief Stanfield, Chief Wilson, would I be correct in assuming that every one of your units has Narcan? Yeah. Do you happen to know if the schools all have them also?
I didn't hear the beginning, I'm sorry.
The schools, do they have Narcan also? All
The school officers or the school staff?
Both.
I don't know if, I don't have an answer for you off the top of my head. I'll have to do some research and I'm happy to report back the answer to that. I just don't know off the top of my head. I know that we personally work with our park staff and our public works staff. I think Director Elwin's out there somewhere to make sure that city staff have access to it. I'll have to get back to you on that.
But the school resource officers probably have them, yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right, anyone else? Alondra, anything from the public?
No, Mayor, we do not.
Okay, just a report, so information only. Are there any additional, Councilor Zhang, go ahead.
Thank you both to Venus and to Chief Stanfield. I know I brought this item or requested it to be brought forth and reported out. I think part of our goals and priorities when we had transparency and accountability and ethics, I think it's important that when our community asks for transparency on how we're spending money, we provide that over. I appreciate the presentation. I think, I guess, first off, piggybacking on Councilmember Harris's point regarding Narcan, do we work with community distributors on getting that out to the community? And do we purchase Narcan? I think I saw fentanyl strips. I wasn't sure if that was something we purchased through here as well.
So the short answer is they give it to us free. So when you see these low dollar amounts, a lot of times we try to buy this like Narcan and they don't charge me. So it's not as easy to buy it in my world. I get it. I get it for free, and so that's why it's easy for me to get it and distribute it, and that's why you see a lot of these low dollar amounts. I've worked with some of our partners. I know the Ramos Foundation is here, and we've talked about buying it, and she gets it free as well, I believe. So it's not something that I don't think either of us pay for. I think you get it free as well, right, Christina? Yeah. Correct. What she's saying is we used to pay for the strips. I did have to buy several of the strips, the test strips, but a lot of individuals, they fund those, and so it's not as easy to buy them as you think. A lot of times you can get them for free.
Thank you. And I have talked with the Robert Rojas Foundation as well with regards to if there's capacity in terms of how we could spend this money to support community groups that are providing, or let me say, that are helping with prevention of death and harm through opioids. Is that something that we are looking on doing? Because what I'm reading here, a lot of these are with regards to prevention of misuse, not necessarily prevention of death or harm. Is that something we're working on as well?
Yeah, we've met, we've talked. I offered to buy all her Narcan and test strips, and I got the same answer, which is I don't have to buy them. So we've talked about some ways we've met, and you know, I think the hard part, which unfortunately the grant is not currently allowing, is providing her foundation with a space to work, and that's unfortunately not something they're allowing me to do. Is to like pay rent or buy a building. And so I've got to kind of work, I got to navigate that in my brain of how it's going to fit in and then present a proposal to this grant board to see if they'll approve it. But I believe from our conversation, rent or a space was part of our conversation, but that was not in the grant. We also looked at helping PAL, Councilmember Ornelas, when he was here and I met, and we wanted to help fund PAL and the PAL boxing program, and we initially bought a few $100s worth of punching bags and equipment for them on the grant, and we got a no, and I had to take it out of some outreach funds. And I'm, you know, and although it says PAL is specifically listed in there, but when I asked them about PAL, because I questioned them on that, they told me, well, that money is to pay for a prominent athlete or some kind of well-known guest speaker, like an actor or somebody famous, basically is what they told me, to come speak to children. That's it's to pay their service fee. And I said, okay, I'll think about it. Like, I don't know why that just didn't set too well with me. Like, it's on my, like, maybe, but it didn't rise to, that's a great idea to me for some reason. Now, maybe that's just me, but I would like to explore other options before I just pay some rich celebrity a large dollar amount to come speak to our kids. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but at this point, that doesn't make me excited to do.
I understand. Onto like the outreach specialist, just curious with how, well, what we're thinking in terms of, because I guess in my head I'm thinking about somebody that knows the community, that would be trusted in doing that type of work. Is that somebody is that what we're looking for? Or are we looking at somebody that we're training up to do this? Because I think it's important to have somebody from the community that is trusted, that folks are willing to go to for resources and support.
I think the easy answer for me is a little bit of both. I've done this exact thing, not with the grant, but I had some money to buy an outreach specialist once before when I was in charge, and I hired a guy named Randy. Randy has now passed. COVID unfortunately took Randy's life, but Randy was one of our ex-homeless that I dealt with for a lot of my career back in the day, and Randy turned his life around, and Randy got clean, and Randy knew everybody. And I hired Randy to go out and engage people and get people off drugs, and he knew them all, and he was probably one of the best employees I ever had in my life. So I'm looking for somebody that wants to roll up their sleeves, get their hands dirty, and go out there and engage people that are struggling with addiction, get down on their level and get them out of addiction however we can legally, and just help them, and knows how to navigate the system, knows how to navigate treatment, knows how to navigate getting off the streets and getting clean. Like, that's what I'm looking for. And I mean, I'll say it right now. I mean, I'm not looking for the perfect background. I'm looking for somebody that wants to get out there and help our population. And you know, that was Randy. Randy probably would have never passed a police background, I'll just be honest. And Randy was one of the nicest guys I ever met in my life. So I guess a little bit of both is the answer.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I did just want to add that this really has transitioned from when we first accepted it. At first, there was thought that it was just going to be a little bit of funding for some additional filling the gap at police, right? Like, they can help them offset a little bit of their costs for going out. And then it became, you're actually getting more funding, and now you have to report, and now you have to figure out how you're going to spend it. And then the requirements became what seemed like they're easy to select from. It became, no, you can't actually use it on that. And I know that PD has been working with them to try to figure out what they can spend it on. And every time we think like, oh, this is the direction we're going to go, it becomes, oh, we're going to pivot and do something different because that's not how we can use it. And then it's also part of our audit every year that we do for the city. So it also gets audited. And since we do have a report that's submitted every September 30th, the council would like, we can just put it out here on the consent for you to see that report and what was reported as far as what additional funding got received, how we expended funding in that year, and like I'm sure that you guys saw the reports that are in your admin report, like that, what got selected is how it got used and what dollar amounts were used. So we can commit to that for transparency purposes if that's something the council's interested in.
All right, thank you, Venus. Thank you, Chief. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So if you put that report on consent, you can think about it being pulled for sure. But I appreciate that idea. I think it's probably worthwhile. I know it's information only. I'll just say I appreciate the presentation from Chief Stanfield and Venus. And speaking for myself, I feel comfortable essentially delegating the use of these very important funds to our police chief and our department. I heard some really good ideas. And I look forward to hearing more in 6 or 12 months about how it's being implemented. So thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thank you all. Appreciate the transparency and the report. All right, onward to business.
Agenda item P, business P1, request to add item to future agenda.
My right, Mayor Pro Tem Boyle, anything for a future agenda?
No, not tonight.
Councilmember Dupont.
Nothing to add.
Councilmember Jean.
Nope.
Councilmember Harris.
Nothing, thank you.
Councilmember Smith.
No.
Councilmember Deanne, anything for a future agenda? Any items you'd like to have addressed on a future city council agenda? It's okay. All right. Thank you, Ron. All right. Takes us then to council comments. P2. Start with, on my left now, with Councilmember Deanda. Any comments, sir? Anything you'd like your colleagues and the public to know? A report on the last 2 weeks of your life, anything like that? The biography of Ronnie Deanda. Saw yesterday at that, or on Saturday at that that UC Merced block party. That was really nice.
I was at this performance that was going on downtown, well, actually, just outside of our building here, between 17th and 18th Street. Quite a show they put on. I've never seen the dragons that they use on the Asian type of celebrations that they have. And there were 3 characters out there, just a 3-man show out there. I don't know how many were under there, but I'm sick of, I'm thinking it's 9. Anyway, they were just great. They were just great. Now, one of the things I didn't appreciate very often, I looked around and there were a lot of kids, different organizations came down and they were all good. They behaved themselves. The only thing is, a lot of them were wearing these T-shirts that said, MERDEAD. MERDEAD. And I didn't say anything to any of them because they came over and they were talking to us and they were kind. We paid them back in time, and welcomed them to be here. But I just didn't like that. It didn't sit well with me, but it was okay. Now, the one thing that I didn't like about this thing was we were talking about bicycles earlier and things. Well, you've got people on the sidewalk because the performers are out in the street. So we got guys coming on bikes, 2 and 3 at a time, on the sidewalks. People are standing there and they've got to move because these guys are coming through. They don't understand You know, there ought to be some way that we can control that. I don't know what it could be. The answer would be, I think, simple is, hey, you're going to ride down here? No, get off your bike and walk it down there. But how do we enforce that? Other than that, it was a good weekend. It's a good weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Shane.
So I want to recognize my 2022 Police Citizens Academy classmates, Colonel and Linda Osborne, who've been sitting in the back. It's good to see you guys. Chief, if you want to understand what a ride-along passenger is like, you got to talk to those two right there. I think Linda in particular. I'm going to raise a couple of things. I had a chance to walk around downtown yesterday afternoon and speak with some of our local business owners, get something to eat, get a glass of wine at Vino's, and buy some records at Tigers and Daggers. Just want to share a couple observations. Number one, I think all of our shop owners, at least the ones I spoke to, are very favorable and complimentary of the work that the city is doing. But it is also true that they are hurting right now. Short-term hurt, but I heard we're watching flies fly. Nobody's come in my store in a couple of hours. I mean, the project is really doing some short-term damage, and everybody was still positive, but you know that rent check is going to come due first of the month, no matter what. So I think I'm hearing, I don't know what kind of outreach is doing on a daily basis, but I think we need to do a better job getting information. People are learning more from the workers than from the city on a day-to-day basis. And I did hear some disappointment that there was a week delay. Mr. Jordan spoke about it. We were surprised when we got into the ground, and that happens in construction. But some folks were a little bit frustrated that they didn't hear about that week delay from the city, because they're hoping this project goes well, but it gets done quickly. So I would just suggest, if this is already happening, maybe there's a daily email that goes out to people, maybe there's a portal. Maybe in the future, this is something we ask our road construction companies to do. But there's a gap in communication, and I would just suggest that the Merced Main Street Association be a focus for some of this communication. Also, and I can't help being a lawyer, but I did notice that I walked around in flip-flops in the middle of the construction site. There were no barriers keeping me from walking through it. And so I wonder how safe that is. I wonder if we're not inviting somebody to, oops, slip and fall, and here's a lawsuit. So even the absence of yellow tape on the sidewalks, I think, is a missed opportunity. And I'd ask our city staff to consider that. On a more positive note, I want to say congratulations to the city of Los Banos and the county of Merced for pulling off a really fun Merced District Fair. Had a chance to see Board of Supervisor member Scott Silvera talk really, really fast and sell a whole lot of goats and sheep. Got to see the Dietz Family Farms display. And I'm really hoping that Councilmember Boyle brings in her caricature portrait that she and her fiance, Mark, had. I really want to see the finished product. So there's a challenge for you. And I'll cede the floor. Oh, happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody.
All right, Councilmember Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to second his request to see that. I attended the San Joaquin Valley Air District City Selection Committee meeting in Modesto because the mayor wouldn't. Myself and a number of my colleagues were at the Food Bank State of Hunger. It was well received. And we were also at the Boys and Girls Club fundraiser. And Councilmember DuPont and I drove to Fresno for the Hmong American Day, which was huge. And I would also encourage everybody who can hear the sound of my voice to go spend money downtown, buy some flowers, have a meal, help your fellow Mercedians out. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Councilmember Jean. Councilmember DuPont.
Thank you, Mayor. Had the opportunity to attend Arbor Day tree planting in District 1 along the Campus Parkway multi-use pathway with Public Works. Amazing to see the trees that are going up and the amount of trees, 42,000 trees that we have within the city of Merced. It was my wife's birthday. I will not share her age, but we enjoyed some good fun with family down at Trevino's. So again, spend your money downtown, help out your business owners and your community members and your neighbors. Also attended the Hmong American Day celebration with Councilmember Harris in Fresno, and attended the State of the Hunger. Also, thank you, Daryl Jordan and City Manager, for meeting me at the Child's Multi-Use Pathway to discuss some of the issues and look at some of the progress that's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Boyle.
Thank you, Mayor. Attended some of the events that were mentioned earlier, and yes, did attend the May Day Fair in Los Banos on Saturday. And Mark and I both joked that maybe the final project will be the invites to the wedding. So, but it's always a great time to go into other jurisdictions and support them. But, you know, talking about here in Merced, yes, please go downtown, support your local businesses, whether it's coffee, clothing, lunch, dinner, whatever it can be. Just go out there and support.
Thank you, sir. Just a few things real quick. Harvest Time, and Jennifer were there late last week. The harvest, they call it the Harvest Time Trio. They have 3 volunteers who are all 90 years old. Still dedicate a good portion of their day to with a really impressive group. To volunteering at Housing Time, doing food distribution, focusing on feeding the needy. So that was pretty cool to see them as well. The Thrive Block Party downtown on Saturday, also with Councilmember DeAnda. When we talk about the connection between the town and gown connection, the connection between the city and the connection between the UC, getting UC kids downtown, I think that was a big part of it. A lot of them really took the initiative, organized this, and had a block party downtown, which was created by and run by UC Merced students. So really good to be a part of that. And then a lighter note, there were some rumors that there was an alligator in Bear Creek. So we joined the Bear Creek Yacht Club yesterday and went up and down the creek looking for the alligator. And we found an inflatable one, but we didn't find any real ones. A couple turtles, but no alligators. So that was fun. And then a bunch of other events too. I want to thank Merced County Office of Education for their Independent City event. It's now their 2nd year they're doing that for foster youth. So they, as foster youth age out and start to become adults, they're using their Independent City program to really help them transition. So nice thing they're doing. And I think that's it for me. I'm hearing we can put off closed session till next week. Okay. And then continued, and then Scott with, or in 2 weeks, next council meeting, apologies. And then with goals and priorities, continue working on that. Offline, I'll bring that back later as well. Yep. All right. So with that, I think we're ready for adjournment. Takes us to item Q, Alejandro, adjournment.
Agenda item Q, adjournment. Motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Boyle and a second by Councilmember DuPont. Mayor and council, please cast your votes.
Done.
We're voting on adjournment. And the vote passes unanimously.
Only one that always does. Everybody's ready to go.
Can I give this to her and she can just send it to
Done,
me
done.
later?